Welcome to the stream. Waiting on everybody to come in. If there's going to be anybody around, I don't know. Let's see if I can turn the volume, the bass up on this. All right, I think that's it. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Is that the one where it turns? No. This is the one where it turns, yeah. My little disco. Disco. Music is like magic. There's a certain feeling you get when you really you spit and people are feeling your shit. This is your moment, and every single minute you spend, try to hold on to it, cause you ain't never get it again. So while you're in it, try to get as much shit as you can, and when your run is over, just admit when it's in its end. I wonder if I can get the lights going too. I think there's one where you can microphone it, so it goes with the mic. Which one is it? Let's just go with that. Why not? All right, so the link is there, everybody. If you, whoever comes in, if you want to hop on panel, I've got it set up right now so that I can. Yeah, let me just do that one first, and then I can swap it over if I want. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I'm probably going to get ads on this because it's YouTube. I'm listening to YouTube on YouTube. So it's, I don't know, it's stupid. But we're probably gonna get ads in between this music. So I'm gonna have to kind of fast forward it after about 5 seconds or whatever. So bear with me here. I'm not gay, but $20 is $20. Oh, you know who I got? Look at that, man. Jetfire. I think I might have shown it before. That's Jetfire, son. That's just badass, dude. My daughter got it for me. So. Ooh. See, Jetfire was a Decepticon at first, but he flipped the script and went to the Autobots. That's where it's at. Autobots, baby. Transformers, more than meets the eye. Oops. Still getting used to this big bulky thing right in front of me, you know? Weird. Seeing how many people will show up in here. Just waiting. I might just turn this on and just talk about stuff.
Hi.
Yep, that's about right. Yeah, okay, so. Okay, so the thing that I guess there was something that Skylar had talked about, and I posted it in my community tab. It was a concept called MILK, M-I-L-K. All right, and it's motherly intuitive life knowledge is what I kind of came out. Now I'm not set on that. I'm gonna talk to her about it later, but I thought it would be cool as just more of like a, I don't know. I'm gonna fill that one out, but it's called MILK, milk, and it's a motherly. You know, this kind of sounds almost like a monograph thing, but it's actually was her idea, so I'm giving her all the credit for that. But I'm gonna try and play up on it and build it as like a collaborative idea. You know, so we'll figure out. You know, she comes up with ideas, and I can add the artwork, and she can do other stuff too. So it's like I said, she's got a lot of talent and stuff, and it's weird to try and explain it because it's like a supernatural type stuff. But anyway, so the whole concept behind some of that stuff was, you know, how do you guys feel? How do you talk about, like, if you used to not believe in conspiracy theories, for example, or paranormal or some type of psychic ability, or is intuition, how far does it go? How powerful is it? Can you manifest things? And I actually just saw a clip about where Jim Carrey, and I've known this for a long time. I made a video, Jesus, like 12, 13 years ago for Aaron on, what channel was that? Aaron Likes Alex, where it was about you are an infinitely powerful creator. And if you know how to manifest things, what you do to manifest things, you can manifest almost anything. So, but there's a lot to it. You know, there's a level that you got to get to, as far as like belief and clarity, coming to terms with your own baggage. You know what I'm saying? That clouds your judgment and stuff like that. And that happens a lot with me. Happens with everybody. You know, you got your baggage that you carry around with you, and I got notes here I got to pull out. I learned that from Aaron. But there's baggage that you carry around, you know, and everybody refused to check them at the baggage check, you know, like before you step on that plane, you know, and it's that plane being whatever life situation that you're in. So the baggage that you carry with you is going to weigh the plane down. You know what I'm saying? So you want that baggage to be as light as possible. It's going to be tough to get rid of it, but because it's always going to be there. That's past traumas and things like that, insecurities, fears, just all kinds of stuff, jealousy, all this other thing. But when you recognize it and you're able to stop it mid-track, you know, when you're identifying what's going on with you, you know what I mean? Like, and are you manifesting this into something, you know, seeing things that aren't there because you want them to be there, because then that would explain things to you and then you'd feel better, or at least you'd understand it. And people do that. People can do that in a lot of situations. They, you know, they'll walk into something and they'll instantly, I'm guilty of it. I mean, I'll go in there and I'm thinking I'm so smart, I can figure all this out in a minute. And then, I usually try to, you know, that's just my thing, you know. And I've looked into this. God, I got another one. God. But there's you can take it too far. You know, you can let your insecurities and all that stuff get way out of hand. You know, when you let anxiety take over. And some people, there's not a lot that they can do about it. You know, the anxiety is there and it's hard to get rid of it. But it can be done, you know, and it takes practice, it takes time, it takes first of all, an environment, you know, where you can feel safe enough to explore that stuff and know. And even then, there's no guarantee on it. But knowing, like G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle, right? Knowing what is happening and convincing yourself that that's what is actually happening and not the thing that you think it is. This is where anxiety can be debilitating and crippling for some people. I know that, you know, Katie's gone through it, Tiffany's gone through it. A lot of people have gone through it, and they get over it. There's episodes that they can go through. You know, mental illness or mental instability can be really difficult to get a handle on. You know, the trauma that you go through in life, I mean, it can happen just like that, and next thing you know, you're stuck in it, and you don't know what to do about it. I've been through it. I've been through so much that I don't talk about, and, you know, men tend to want to suffer in silence. You know, women can be a little bit more open about it, but because that's like more socially acceptable. But even then, that's not true. You know, that's not always true. So, and vice versa with men. But the kind of trauma and anxiety that people can go through, and how it affects their daily life. Everyone is different, you know, how they handle it, how that trauma was, where it began in childhood, if it began in childhood. Sometimes, you know, you can take a perfectly healthy person, stick them on a battlefield, and they come back just a broken, shattered person. You know what I mean? Like, they just cannot believe what they've seen. This could be someone who had a perfect upbringing, and you stick them in that battlefield over in Iraq or something like that, and they see some things, these real life horrors that they've never seen, and just they're not ready for it. That's where, you know, they try to prepare first responders for things like that. There's an operation called Jade Helm, where they take crisis actors and they bloody them all up. They'll take amputees and they'll take all this stuff and they'll make it look like you're walking into a Hollywood movie set that has people's legs and arms blown off from, say, let's say a bombing, like remember the Boston bombing. These crisis actors, there was a lot of that circulating around, that there were crisis actors there that were performing parts in the public, so that the public is almost like shocked and awed into seeing and these horrible tragedies that people in other countries are seeing every day. But we don't ever see that. It immediately gets covered up. You put a blanket over it or one of those yellow tarps over it, and we shelter ourselves in America from that type of trauma, that visual trauma, because it is damaging, and we try our best not to let that in our country. But when it happens, in our country, the people, there's not a whole lot of support for that. Where you see things or you experience things that are just so traumatic that it can shatter a person, or things happen to you that can shatter you into a million pieces. Aaron, we talked about it on his last live stream that I remember, was about his situation where he was hit. I think he was like 15 or 16 years old, and he was walking down the road and got, I don't know the exact details of it, but he got hit by a car, and he's got this scar that goes all the way down his back, like literally like straight all the way down to his butt. It's a long ass scar where they had to cut him open and just fix him, put his bones back together. But the trauma left him with brain damage, but not like something that, it's a low spectrum schizophrenia, where he can, and the alcohol really triggers it. And I never really knew what it was, but I knew that when he would be just uploading videos where he's just talking by himself, and then he'd upload the video, because back then YouTube could only do 15 minutes. He would be a completely different person when you talk to him. Much more humble, much more reserved, much more polite and everything. But when he's by himself and on the camera, just yelling at the camera, he didn't have any kind of influence that would make him be that way. But when he's in front of another person, then he's a different person. And with me, I recognize that type of behavior because when I'm in front of people, I tend to pick up and mirror whatever it is that they're into, or whatever emotion that they're into. And I've looked into that, and they call that being a Sigma empath, simply because of the way that I am. You know what I mean? In real life. So that type of Sigma empathic ability can go pretty far. I've explored it to see what kind of, there's so much more to it than that, and what it can entail. But the empathy that I can feel, it can be damaging in the sense that to myself and to the other person that I'm doing that with, or if I tap into that with somebody, because it can, if they are also empathic, now it's like this ping pong emotion thing that just spirals out of control. And then there has to be like a break from it. It's like, whoa, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? Like, where is this going? And I've experienced that before, where, it's happened with me and Skylar, at certain times, but where it just gets a little crazy, where it's like, whoa, and then there has to be like this break. And I didn't understand it at first, what was happening. But I've got a much better understanding of it now, and it doesn't affect me now that I understand it. It's something that I need to really explain it to her, but our schedules are it's complicated. Mental man, what's up, bro? It's complicated, but I'm gonna talk with her about that, because there's sort of a breakthrough that I've had over the past few days, where I've done a lot of meditating, a lot of self-reflecting, trying to figure out what's happening. There is a spiritual thing to it, but there's also how do you explain it? There's a metaphysical aspect to it, where the planetary alignments and things like that. There's something to that, because what I felt, I've always had these certain feelings at certain times that I didn't know where they came from. and I wasn't following astrology or anything like that. So I'm not like going to be like it's like a little bits of everything, all these different belief systems that all fall together when you understand it all. It's almost like somebody had the knowledge a long time ago. It was all put together and it was too powerful to play with. So they broke it up and they called this religion. They called that astrology. They called this that. But in actuality, all of it's tied together. And as you study it, you realize that if you try to do, one thing in particular, you can that can be really, it can be dangerous. You can believe in things that are not real. You can believe in things that and you what the mind believes, the eyes and ears will see and hear. So, and that's a well-known fact. So be careful sometimes when you get into these types of realms of study and all that as you're learning it, that you don't fall too far into it, too far down that rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? Because it can be a little dangerous for you and what it is that you're doing, in the sense that your sanity can start to slip a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like you start getting into this and you're going, oh my God, that happened, and this and that happened, and oh my God, this happened, and now all of a sudden you're like, what is this? Is this witchcraft? Is this what's going on here? Things that you never believed in before, but then all of a sudden you see some evidence that can't be chalked up to coincidence. What do you say? You are speaking facts. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that evidence that appears to be real can oftentimes not be. You're filling in the blanks. You're using your brain to fill in the blanks of evidence that you don't have. You've just got things that fit. You can fill in those blanks real easy and go off into a tangent believing that you know something to be true when it is not. And all because you're playing Mr. Detective in a lot of ways. You walk into a room and you scan the place to see who's a threat, who's not, who's cool, who's a dick. You just do these. This is things that people do. They don't even realize they're doing it, but they're doing it. And so most people, when they walk into a room, they look and they see who's the biggest threat or whatever, and they'll say, okay, who's the boss? Who do I need to be aware of? Me, on the other hand, I won't really care about any of that. I'll look around and see who's pretty much like the most hurt, like there's who I get the sense from that needs, and I'll pay attention to them, and I'll get a scan of who's hurting most. And sometimes when you go into rooms where it's like an AA meeting or something like that, where everybody's hurting, some more than others, you can tell it right away. It can be annoying too, because they'll be so hurt, they'll just ramble. They don't know how to get out what's hurting them. They think they do. They're in their emotions and they can do stuff. But me, on the other hand, like I'll go into a normal room or whatever, and I can sort of gravitate towards the person that needs the most help, and I'll figure out a way to approach them and talk to them. If there's a way I can do it, if I have time to devise a way to walk up to them and say, mention something casually, kind of work my way into them and let them know that there's somebody out there that identifies with them because of the experiences that I've gone through as well and how I've handled it. So let me see what he say here. I can't hardly, shit. Ugh. My readers, man. Here they are. What are you saying there? Mental. Shit, but I gotta put these double glasses on now. You are a sweetie, Lynn? Yeah. Well, don't take my kindness for weakness, all right? Because there is that dark side, that shadow side that everybody has. Hey, Menthol, if you want to come up here, man, just hop on, man. Let's share the wealth here, basically. But no, everybody's got a light and a dark side, the shadow side and the light side. And whenever you're working on those fears and anxieties, that's called shadow work. You're working on, what's it say? What did you say? I want to help others. Yeah, I do. And I always have. I'll put other people above myself. And all these other people tell me, oh, shouldn't do that. It's self-destructive, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't care. You don't understand the pull that I have for that. Okay. And that I can deal with it. the consequences of it. I can deal with it. But, you know, how many people are like that? How many people can deal with it? You know? So I feel like that Naked Gun thing or whatever, you're like, you got the two, you can't tell. It's like, you still got them on there. But there's a lot to what happens with me. I can get into situations where if I'm around somebody, like the draw that like me and Skylar have, this is stuff that doesn't get caught on camera too much. And when it does, I try to kind of edit it out. But there are things that happen where we can trigger each other in certain ways. I can trigger her insecurities, and she can trigger mine, and we're doing it at the same time. And so, and then we both get triggered on things, and then we have to like, whoa, you know, kind of stop, and then go figure out what the hell happened. And the, you know, the way that she copes with it versus the way I cope with it are two completely different things. And so therein lies, because I had this feeling that we were projecting that we're just this perfect couple and everything's great. No, it's not perfect. We get along great when we're getting along. You know what I mean? When we're not triggering each other because of the traumas that I've had and what she's had. So there's struggles to it. Yeah, nothing's perfect. You know, nothing is perfect, but it feels, the feeling that we both get, you know, it puts us back into being a child. You know what I mean? Like back when it was innocent and it was, you know, that feeling of like, you know, of basically home, you know? And so there's, you know, I thought this could be a good topic to talk about if you're in a relationship with people, a person or something like that, and you're experiencing these types of, you know, clashes sometimes where you just don't even understand each other, you know, like, well, why the hell did she do that? You know, or why did he do that? There's some things that can be worked out and explained if you understand what's going on. Then you can work on that part and get you guys back on track. You know what I'm saying? So, oh, what did I get down to? Cool. Okay. So there's a lot to that. So we're gonna, you know, I'm gonna work on something that explains a lot of that in the future. But recently I've gone through this sort of like a breakthrough, I guess you could say, on, I guess I should put this on a little bit, not so loud. Let me get some audio going back. So, but yeah, I've gone through some pretty interesting changes that allowed me to sort of bury in a way that I've never been able to do before, like these emotions that are, or get them in check when, and it could be some a part of it, or not. It could be, but part of it is my own insecurities, my own baggage that I've got that makes me harder to deal with than it ought to be. And so these are things that when you work on them yourself and you go through it and you take the time out to really contemplate, really look at yourself, you know, take the rose-colored lenses off and look at yourself. What are you yourself guilty of? And is this coming out of you? Is that other person bringing that out of you? Is that bad? Well, that's relative. If you're using it for bad, then yes, it is bad. But if you realize that this is what a person brings out of you, and it's meant for you to deal with, it's meant for you, if you approach it correctly, it's meant for you to deal with and recognize that that's something that needs to be handled, something that needs to be dealt with. That if you're reacting this way because of a certain thing, and it's this yin-yang sort of, you know, triggering that's going on, then that's where you literally work on those items that are triggering, so that you can better, you know, that's what the whole point of it was. Like I watched a video where it was, you know, how you can tell when God's put somebody in your path and it's meant for you is because you're going to trigger each other, and that was the point. That's how you grow together. Is you trigger each other so that you can deal with it. You can actually find out what it is that you're triggering, investigate that, learn how to deal with it, and move on, move forward, and continue to move forward together and all in a productive way. And that you see in so many relationships where people get together and it's great at first until you start getting to know the person. You know, it might be um, because it can start off so passionate. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people can start off really passionate. I know me and Skylar did, very passionate. It was slow at first, but when that steam got picked up, boy, it was whoa! Like it's almost like you're falling off a cliff, like a snowball effect. It's just getting more and more and more and more passionate until it just became too passionate. And it was just like, whoa, you know, like, we got to take a break from this. This is getting way too much. Couldn't stand a second without him. And then you're angry and it's this and that, and you're just instantly thinking this and that and the wrong things. And it was just so intense, you know, of an attraction, which I've never had before. But, and especially if you haven't really invested that kind of emotion before or felt that before, then all of a sudden this becomes a fear factor. Almost like on the show Fear Factor, like your worst fears are now suddenly right in front of you. Like, I could get really emotionally hurt. I could get really crazy about this, you know, like lose my shit, man. Fucking just stand on top of a building and threaten to jump type shit. You know what I mean? Like, this is how intense it is. And that's the whole point of it, I think, is to identify that and go, why? Why is that happening? And is it necessarily me, or is it both? You know, like there's some sort of a trigger going on. Now, oftentimes you're gonna have to deal with yourself. If you're having those kind of feelings, you've got to look at yourself and find out what it is that's happening. It's not the other person's fault. You've got your own baggage you got to deal with. And that being said, once you do deal with it, and you can come to grips with what's actually happening, then you can take the steps that it takes, or that it needs, to sort of squash that and heal from whatever it is, whatever trauma and pain that needs to be dealt with and healed from. And people deal with it at different speed. You know, some people can do it in a few days. They can heal from it. You know, they can be in a relationship or whatever for a long time, whatever, and then be done with it in a couple of days, and they're fine. Then there's others that it's going to take them a year. You know what I mean, to get over this, man. There's just no, don't want nothing to do with nobody for God knows how long. And then they end up missing out on so many opportunities because of that, if it truly wasn't meant to be. But there's so much that can be learned from recognizing what's going on in these scenarios when you encounter them, and stopping, instead of fighting or whatever and trying to point fingers and blame or assuming things that aren't true. Which it can be very hurtful to the other person, which can make them withdraw, and then they just don't even want to deal with it, and it's very difficult. It can be really difficult if you've got baggage, if you have trauma, if you have the type of things that a lot of people have nowadays. And the insecurities are big right now because of just the way society wants you to date, and it's not even dating really. It's just the most, do whatever you want, and if people don't like it, then fuck them. And that is so wrong, because it fucks up your relationships, man. It fucks up, if you buy into that bullshit, it fucks up your relationships bad. So, what'd you say? You want a, damn it, can't read it. Shit, menthol? You want to help us? Okay, so yeah. But yeah, that's 34 minutes, okay. That's some of the things that I was explaining to Aaron on, how, like, he had DNA was coming over, and she was even there again, I think a little bit later on that stream, like, just manifested, like, right there and there, because I thought she was pretty much gone, didn't care. But apparently she came back onto the stream a few minutes after I left, or maybe she was there the whole time. But she didn't get on panel or anything, but she was in the comments. And I was telling Aaron about it, like what happened with her, and it has to do with like the 144,000. These basically like the star children, the people who have gone through. They're destined to go through so much trauma. And this is where more of this is what I'm talking about type things like this, but it can help other people to explain this, because these types of people and they call them star childs or star children, or the 144,000. There's a lot of different theories or whatever you want to call it that explain what's happening with certain people, and how why they're destined to live the life that they live, and persevere the way that they do, and not succumb to the they're going to go through some hard stuff, you know what I mean, but there's a purpose for it. There is a greater purpose. And when those types of people get together and they make, I think, make a child, like if that can happen, because usually they're so traumatized that they end up being loners, the rest of their lives, because there's just so much trauma there. But they're not necessarily bad people. They're just, they have this empathic ability that they'll go around and they'll do whatever it takes, and they may have relationships, but they're not ever right. You know what I mean? They can't find it. They can't find that so oftentimes it can be very confusing. I've gone through that, where I've searched for, I like this song. Slow motion. In the ocean. Down in the deep end. Too much. Still in slow motion. But so anyway, I'm sorry I got distracted by that song. That's a cool song. But now I lost my train of thought. But there's so much I want to get into with this, but I wanted you guys to know that that's kind of like an idea that I'm working on, and give me some feedback on this. Give me some feedback. What do you think about this? These type of starseed child, star child, whatever, how you want to call it, where they're destined to have these traumas and everything in their lives for a reason, so that it makes them grow, it makes them stronger, it makes them everything. And then when they get together, because I really do feel like that's more of like a me and Skylar situation, where we didn't realize what we really were, and why we were put together, like how we met, why we met. There's a supernatural thing behind that, and there's times where she can feel my feelings, I can feel hers. It can get really intense sometimes. Oop, who's this? Somebody coming in. What you got here? Who is this? What is this? No way. Hold on. This can't be.
Hello,
Cheryl.
hello.
Oh, hang on. Let me get my volume up. Oh, crap. Is my Bluetooth on? Hang on a second.
Hang on. I think it. Oh no, it's.
I
Oh
can
no,
see you're
it's
trying to
not
talk,
me.
but I can't hear you. Hang on. Where did I put my audio? Let me see if I can do it this way. Okay, testing.
Hello.
Does that work?
I can still
hear.
hear.
Oh. I should have thought of that. Hang on 1 second. Don't go anywhere. Let me try my Bluetooth. That'll probably work. But to do that, I gotta turn this off, which means Bluetooth off. And this right here. Let me get over to here. Turn on my Bluetooth. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. I cannot hear you at all. Oh, is it on? Is it connected?
Test.
Okay, so it's on.
That's it.
Well, what the hell?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Why am I not hearing you then? Let me see what I'm doing wrong here. Volume? Oh, that's good. What the hell? Oh, wait a minute. Testing 1.
Test.
Gracie, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Damn it, I can't hear it. What in the hell is going on with this?
Are you still
Shit.
attached to Bluetooth, but you've disconnected it? Shall I go out and come back
Let me see if I
in?
can hear it on this. Maybe I should hear it on my phone. What the hell?
I wondered if the people watching can hear me.
There it is. Okay, I got you. No, I got you. I can hear it. They can hear you, but I can't hear you in here.
Okay.
That's what it is. Okay, so give me a second here. Let me turn my Bluetooth back off. There it is. Okay, I got you. No, I got you. I can
Okay,
hear
hang
you.
on
They
one
can hear
second.
you, but I can't hear you. Okay. That's
Okay, hang on. Let me turn this Bluetooth off.
All right, there's that. And then turn this back on and do my tone. Do. Come on. So I'm flip flopping back on my Bluetooth here. So, all right, it's connecting. Okay. All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Shit. Now I'm delayed because I'm listening to that. Son of a bitch. I really got to work this out.
Shall I go out and come back in?
Anyways, go ahead and talk and
And what?
go ahead and talk, Cheryl. I'll just listen and I'll try and chime in. I'm just a little delayed. I'm going to work that out. I got new equipment here and it's delaying and stuff.
Shall I go out and come back in?
Or I'm going to have a smoke real quick, but go ahead and talk for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, then can't.
No, don't go out and come back in. Just keep on talk. I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick and have a smoke. But please entertain or whatever and all that. I'll be right back.
Will do. Well, Lynn cannot hear me until about a minute after that I speak, so we're not going to be able to converse. I only hopped on really to say congrats to Lynn, and I haven't really been watching much. You need to be on the YouTube stream, so even if I tell him, he won't hear for an extra minute. He's gone off top of smoke now. Anyway, so I was going to go live, but I'm not going to be live while Lynn is live. That's uncool to cross live, so I'm not going to do mine for a bit. I came in last night with a takeaway, and I was in a hurry. I was hungry. I put the keys down, and you know what? I haven't been able to find the fucking things all day. There's a little dog there. I've tried the bloody bins. I've looked in the recycling, in the laundry. I was pretty hungry, so fuck knows what I done. I'm hoping I didn't leave them in the door and they haven't been pinched, because I might have been so desperate for food because I'd eaten all day that I left him in the frigging door. Yeah, I mean, it's dog. It's a pity you couldn't get him up on the tree. Yeah, I like your background and that, Lynn. Is that in your home, that there? I only came to say congratulations to you and Skylar. And you can actually see the happy, Lynn, like on your face. It's all over your face. It's lovely. And it just goes to show, you know, like Katie and now with age of 19, when somebody's got things in life, this isn't year 24/7. This isn't that important. It's when I'm bored, when I'm at a loose end. Yeah, it is nice, isn't it? I can hear the dog's chain, the collar or something walking around. Can you hear it? Like little bells. I'm not sure what to say now. It's a pity that we couldn't figure that audio. It's very nice. It's nice to see them. So perhaps what I'll do is I'll wait for you to sort out the audio and I'll hop back on. But I'll definitely be watching. That's lovely, that is. It's really cool. Funny how things work out, ain't it? There's a big plan for us all here, I think. I think that some things are already planned out, and all the things that we go through and the roads that we take us to the place we're ultimately meant to be. You know, and some of them roads can be pretty fucking rocky. But we all end up where we should be. Hello, Lynn.
Let's see, what can I do? Settings. Hey, what's up? Let me find, I'm going to my audio settings right now and seeing where I'm going. USB. Oh, that's why. Okay, so let me go to speaker. Let me just do that.
Shall I try now?
Now I can hear you. Now you're good.
Right.
Okay, we're on the same page now.
Okay, well, I can hear myself. I can hear.
Oh, let me do the echo cancellation. Sorry, I forgot about that part. Damn it, I hate all these settings. I need a better setup than this, but we'll figure it out. You got audio back? Let me kill the the echo cancellation, right? I think that's it.
Right.
How's that? Can you hear it? Try that.
That's perfect for me. How's it for you?
Yeah, it's great for me too.
There we are.
All
Hey,
right.
Lynn, it's good to see you happy. Your face has gone all soft and sweet. It has. You used to look a bit of a bruiser, and now you look like just all silly. It's fucking great. Yul Brynner.
Yeah, I looked up Yul Brynner. I don't look like him. I'm way handsomer than that guy.
Hey, listen,
That guy's weird looking, man. I'm not weird looking. Huh?
Yul Brynner was hot as fuck, as was Telly Savalas. Some men can wear the bald head. Not all of them. Some of them look like freaks.
I get my glasses on and I'm like, I just rock it out, man. I'm just like,
it's so cool,
man.
Yeah,
but it's what I got. I got to work with what I got. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
Do you think, Lynn, that what I'll repeat what I said before you got back in, that there's a path we end up on that was where we were always meant to be, and the roads we take and the shit we go through is to lead us to the place where
right. And if you don't make the right decisions, you have to do it again.
Yes.
In another life. And so this is what twin flame and soulmates are really all about. It's not just it's not a cute saying. It's real.
Yeah.
The twin flames will tend to mirror your emotions. And it can freak you. It can freak me and Skylar do that. And you can do it like astral projecting, like even if you're at your house and she's at her house, there's times when I'll get really, it's super, super sad or something. And because we might have a disagreement or a misunderstanding or something like that. But because it's so intense, she can feel it too. And I can feel it. And I'll be sitting somewhere, all of a sudden it'll be this instant, like out of nowhere, just like a really deep sense of sadness or to where it just brings tears to my eyes out of nowhere. And there's no reason for it. And I was connecting. I've been doing that like my whole life. And I'm connecting to people that I didn't know who I was connecting to. I couldn't tell. She's a lot more in tune to it, but she's still having problems like identifying who it is. She can sometimes, it's really, that's why I wanted to get her on here to talk about it, because I finally found someone that can explain this in a way. And we're both working on this, trying to figure this out and iron it out, because we're real close to it. But yes, that's true. These things that you go through, the pain, the trial, the tribulations, all that stuff, and you persevere, and then you keep trying, keep getting on that horse and going again, until there's just this that they talk about it, but hardly anyone ever feels it.
Look, Lynn, I look at it like this. I've had, say, 6 serious relationships and married 4 of them, but only on 2 of them did I have this connection that I can't explain to you. I walked in a kitchen. I was happy. There was nothing missing in my life. And I went to a house to buy some weed, and I'm sat in the kitchen, and this man walked in, and I cannot explain it, but I knew in that moment, as soon as I clapped eyes on him, he's going to be someone in my life. I didn't know what, but I knew he was going to be important. And I was only supposed to be there 20 minutes. My husband was home. I was literally nipping out to get a smoke.
Right.
We ended up just talking, and it was like no one else was there. We forgot our surroundings. The people's house we were in just fucked off and went and watched telly and totally ignored us because
Right.
we forgot where we were.
Right.
And I can't explain it, but I knew, and we ended up married for 14 years.
Right.
I knew.
What
but the
happened? What happened to that relationship?
Well, to be honest with you, I spoiled the cunt. Because
Now,
yeah,
was there
no, I
any
didn't.
drugs involved? Were there any alcohol involved?
Oh, we were doing E's and acid on a weekend.
Okay, see, there you go. See, that's where it fucked it up. I guarantee you, that's where it fucked it up. If you just kept a clean head, if you just stayed clear, and you'd have connected even further, then that's you. Anyways, but I guarantee you that's what fucked it up, and you lost that connection. You got bored
Well,
with each
no,
other.
I
You lost,
firmly believe.
got out of tune, out of alignment with each other.
Yeah, but I also firmly believe that if you lay yourself down as a doormat to the kindest person in the world, it is human nature for that motherfucker to trod on you and wipe your feet.
Let me tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened. What happened was that was the person that you could have made something with. All right, but when you allow that, you remember I was telling you or saying this earlier, is that all evil cares about is the destruction of innocence. So as soon as you allow too much evil into your life, the innocence that he saw, he was the one who bit the apple in that case. Okay, because if he wasn't reciprocity, okay, or however you say it, if he wasn't reciprocating that kindness in return, and he was just soaking it all up for himself, then he didn't recognize the types of baggage that he had, and he absorbed it, and he let it go to his head, and he wanted more. And the next thing you know, you spoiled him, but he should have been spoiling you back. And then that's where that's where your boundaries when it comes to like the give and the take, okay, in the relationship, you began to give too much, and they weren't giving it back, and then the communication stopped. And but
I actually get more pleasure, Lynn, from giving than I do receiving.
I don't
mean in a sexual way.
Me too. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah.
I mean in a gift thing, in a doing things to make a person happy. I am happier making someone else buzz.
Right. And you know what? And the thing with with Skylar is that in her past, people that did that were trying to take advantage of her.
Yeah.
And so that tends to trigger her. When I do nice things for her, she wants to pull back. And because she's afraid of, she's almost like afraid of like, okay, here comes the bad part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen that before. Now comes the pain. Yeah. You know what I mean? And because that's how, it's almost like they're paying ahead before they hurt you. And so, so she's used to that, which is sad, really sad. And it's very traumatizing to her. So, and I want to give her so much. I mean, but it's very difficult for me too, because she tends to pull back when I do. And unfortunately that's just the baggage that she has. And I've got baggage where when somebody pulls back away from me, then I start suspecting, because I've got my baggage of people that have cheated.
Yeah, it triggers your baggage, and
so
then
we're
you're
triggering each other.
Yeah.
When we're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, of course.
And it starts to sort of get into this thing. And then once we kind of separate for a little while and we stop and her coping mechanism and stuff can be where she can isolate and she can, go into this like sort of like almost a depression to the point where there's like that comfort in the misery. You know what I mean? That has been that coping mechanism.
Well, no, it's familiar, isn't it?
It's a familiar, it's something that makes you feel until you can't stand it no more.
Well, no, you know it so well. It's like an old battered chair. You've sat in it for so long, it's taken your shape and you're comfortable. And then when you buy a new chair, you think, what the fuck? This feels weird. But you do get used to it. You do wear the new chair into your shape. So
Right.
You just gotta get that.
Right. But but the fact that she is so intuitive that she can really tap into other people's feelings and it can just literally control her.
That's called a super empath.
Yes. And that's exactly what she is. Yeah. And along with other stuff, like she's texted me where we hadn't been talking, right? Like we go into these like no contact situations, you know, where we don't talk to each other because it's too intense and we don't understand it. And over the past like week or so, I've come to like this epiphany, and I've been following the astrology and stuff. And this is all what's going. I've been, you know, the tarot cards and stuff like that on YouTube. You can, you know, type in your sign and watch them. And then and my tarot cards have been spot on. However, I've also been manifesting every single fear that I can imagine into those tarot cards. So it's tapping into my fear. So I go in my head and I start filling in blanks for questions that I have no answer to. And I start assuming everything, and I go into this wicked cycle of, oh my God, the worst is happening. This is that, you know what I mean?
It's
and
called ruminating. You start
Right.
to ruminate, which
Right.
is not a good thing.
Yeah, well, but what? No, there is good to it because it's healing. Now, what you do is as long as you don't, you know, and it's very difficult not to just fall into that and go, okay, well then that must be what it is, because it makes all sense. Here's all the signs and all that. But meanwhile, you have zero evidence. It's all circumstantial. It's all your own insecurities filling in the blanks, and now that becomes a solid fact to you. And meanwhile, all of it's bullshit. But you can't. Nobody can tell you that it's bullshit because in your head you think you're right. Nobody's going to tell you different. And until you stop and realize, wait a fucking minute. And then you're feeling all that pain. You're feeling all that sadness. You're assuming the worst. And you're like, how could this happen? Blah, blah, blah. In reality, none of it happened. But it's because you don't have all the information. And so if you look at it that way and you go through it and you heal and you accept it, you say, okay, even if it did happen, even if the worst case scenario happened, I would still love. You know, that you get over that and you say, oh, how much of that this is just like, it's not going to allow you, you're going to self-love. Okay. You're going to teach yourself self-love. So you would rather take all that anger and just stop it, you know, cut it off and bring yourself. If you're not getting the happiness from the relationship, you bring the happiness to yourself. You focus on yourself and you heal yourself from those wounds. And then you can come back to the relationship with a healing that you can now understand what's really going on. And there's a process. This can happen over and over again. You've seen that where couples that fight and they always come back together. They're like, why do they just stay together? All they do is fight and then they come back together. They fight and they come back together.
Yeah, but if you're passionate people, your fallouts are going to be passionate. It's not just going to be, hey, I don't like what you've just done. Oh, sorry. It's going to be fiery because the relationship is is big and powerful.
But if it's not, and a lot of times people can get burned out on that, where after a while, enough hurt gets built up to where people get burned out on it because they're not actually healing. They're not actually doing anything. There's a difference between passion and love. And so when you're stuck on the passion part of it, when you don't understand what real love is, you know, and maybe you've never really experienced it before, that all you've ever experienced before was, this is how it goes. And then what eventually ends up happening is that sort of builds up and then you split. So, and then that pain is so intense that you don't even bother doing that anymore. So then people end up, you know, going into these short-term relationships, and as soon as it starts getting heavy, they're out of there. Yeah. And then, you know, because they just can't, they don't want it. They know where it's going to go, and they don't see any other way to do it. That's just the way it is. And that's just how it goes. And they kind of trick themselves into, you know, never experiencing true love, because there's a self-love that's not happening there.
Yeah.
So there's a process to that, and it can be broken. It's not that hard to do. It's just knowing what's happening so that you can address these issues and move forward, and deal with it. Yeah. So that happens.
It's all a learning curve, isn't it?
It
Hopefully,
is.
Yeah, you end up a bit deeper. Hi, tacos. Hi, knick-knack. Just saying hello to your chat quick.
Yeah. If you can say it better than I can, then that's great. You can probably going to be more.
I got a mute to talk to the grandchild. I'll be back. 2 minutes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Like a twin flame situation, which is what me and Skylar have, is that twin flame. That there's two ways that people can look at that. And I've seen people. I found some artwork. There was a tote, like a bin outside of like where I used to work. And it was a warehouse of storage units and stuff. And it looked as though somebody had a big green storage, you know, plastic bin, tote, whatever. had fallen off. There was a bunch of garbage in there. It was from some girl, and there was like a Kindle in there, and just all kinds of girl stuff, you know, and all that. But one of them was this artwork that showed like 2 matches, and they were like a man and a girl. And it was like a match, and the match heads were their heads. So it was like a lit match, and then and they were like embraced, you know. So somebody took 2 matches and drew them, and they were really flared up, you know what I mean? And they were embraced and all that. And then the next page was the 2 matches that were burned out and facing away from each other, and that had been turned into like the sadness that happens when the flame burns out. And it's like I think the first one that showed them blazing up was we had such an amazing flame or something like that. And then the other one was, I guess that's why we burned out or something like that, because they both weren't. And it was a great artwork that I saw. It was like 2 little pieces of paper there that, you know, you could look at, one that shows the flame part and then one that shows the burnout part. And I was like, yeah, but there's more to that. I mean, yes, a lot of people end up with that. Everyone's had that intense, you know, just purely passion, and that's it. And then once you get to know them, or you never get to know them, and then it fades out, and that's all it was. It was just an attraction, you know, a sexual attraction, and then that was it. But you know, when that fades off, then what? You know what I mean? What are you left with? Which is, it really kind of goes back to, you know, how you're really supposed to date anyways, is you don't just hop in bed right away. It's hard not to nowadays because, hey, it's 2024, man, everything goes, you know, and I'm guilty of it. You know, I mean, I don't hop around like that. I mean, I've had my short-term relationships that never went anywhere because I never felt any real connection to it. It was just, I don't know, physical satisfaction, I guess. You know, you get to where you just want some physical company once in a while, and but it never would turn into anything. You know what I mean? And it would, as soon as I guess the L word would get dropped, I'd be out of there. You know, I'd be like, no, I knew this wasn't gonna, you know, and that was my pattern. But it wasn't like I was habitual about it. It was just there that I would get to that point where I'd feel, yeah, I want a partner in my life. You know, let's try this. I really didn't care if I had one or not. It wasn't hard to get a partner if I wanted one, but it didn't make me. I wasn't out there trying to. So there would just be certain circumstances where I'd be like, okay, well, maybe this could work. You know, maybe they show, because I don't chase. Libras don't chase. We really don't. Skylar made me chase. And at that point in time, I realized, wait a minute, this is something different. And because when I first, like what Tracy was saying is that the way she felt about when she met her guy that first time, they were talking for hours and didn't realize it. When I met Skylar, I instantly knew something about her, you know, and something instantly. And I just did not know. She just was not my type, was not the type that I would look for, wasn't, I didn't think she would be interested in me. And it wasn't even like that at first. It was just something about her. I was like, man, I'd spot her from across the way or whatever. And I just couldn't take my eyes off her. And I approached her and I would talk to her, and then she would just kind of react in such a way that it was just adorable. And I was like, is that just how she acts, or is that just because of me? You know? And I'm like, if that's the case, then I'm in love already. Instantly, I'm in love. And it's progressively gotten better and better, but also it's gotten sometimes worse and worse. You know what I'm saying? And so there's that sort of yin yang that happens where it gets too intense, and we got to, you know, whoa, and get back together, and it's a little too intense, and whoa, we got to go off, you know. And it's with me, I realized over the past week or so that what has been happening. And again, this is all part of this cycle, this tower that was built, and then now it's I put an end to that cycle so that it won't happen again, at least not for me. And I know it won't happen for her again, because now I understand it and I can explain it to her a little bit better. So that was something that I wanted to talk to her about and all that eventually. But these tower moments that happen can be self-sabotaging. They can be where you just there's abandonment issues. There are jealousy issues. There are so many other issues that some people can think that can never, that's just the way it's going to be. It's never going to change. Might as well do it now and bite the bullet and just end the relationship now before it gets too bad.
And I'm back.
Oh, there you go. I was just talking about these like tower moments that we build in relationships where we get to that point where you think that, okay, this is what it's going to get to this point. Might as well cut it now and just move on before it gets to that point where I know where it's going to go, because that's where they always go.
Well, there's an attraction that's like a meant to be one, like the husband thing. But then you can also learn to love people. One of my husbands, there was no really passionate feeling. I liked him and I married him for all the wrong reasons, but I did grow to love him.
Right.
I grew to enjoy what was going on, but it wasn't like an instant meeting of two, like with the other one.
Right.
That's what I was meaning. There are some people we're meant to go on a path with, and there's some people who were only meant to be part of that path, and that would be the husband that I kind of grew over a long time to love.
Right. And some people settle. Some people settle and they say, okay, well, this is as good as it's going to get. I'm too old to date now. I'm too old to do this. I'm too old, and you don't bother.
They have kids and they're too
old. They get locked down in family. Oh yeah, they don't follow their heart, and know that this is right. Yeah. And so a lot of people get stuck in that, but I never really got stuck in that. I've always been very, very intuitive. Like I can't watch chick flicks. If I do, I'm going to shed some tears. There's going to be some waterworks. I'm not kidding, because the impact, what the director's trying to do is pull those emotions out. And note, like I have a divine feminine side to me, and she has a divine masculine side, which is really the opposite of the way that it would seem, because I project this image that I'm this tough guy and I'm all this and I don't really have the kind of emotions that I really have. And that's for my own protection. That's for my own, so people don't take advantage of it, because they will. That
you're clever and you understand people. The tougher the exterior, the softer the heart, because it's like a nut. It's got a shell to protect the soft part.
Right.
So to me, the tougher a person acts, I know that they're lovely and sweet and kind underneath.
Not always. Some of them are just brutal murder, because that can flip the other way too. If they're super sweet, then they're probably really fucking mean. You know what I mean? Like if they start off,
people who are good at mimicking it, aren't they?
Right.
They've watched how it looks and they're good at projecting that image.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? So like when you get with someone and maybe they're attracted to that masculine part of you, okay? That masculine, because they know there's a sweetie inside or something.
Yeah,
maybe they get that feeling. But then all of a sudden, when you get vulnerable with them, and they're not ready to get vulnerable with you, you can scare the shit out of them, because now all of a sudden you're that opposite person that they didn't think. Yeah. Now you're the soft guy who's really a monster. You see what I'm saying? Like that's how it can flip. You can look at someone that way and go, wait a minute, I've seen this before. You tricked me. And so that can happen. And that's happened with Skylar. She's thought that I'm a monster for real when I got really sensitive and showed her the real me. And she's shown me the real her. And it scared both of us. We were scared of each other. And
gut instinct is for me. There's a gut instinct.
Because we knew we were getting vulnerable. I was wanting her to act a certain way, that the stereotypical way of what you would call vulnerable, which is what I do when I'm vulnerable. I was expecting her to mirror that. But when she got vulnerable, she was showing me sides of her that she doesn't show everybody else. And how fluctuating those can be, and how these are things where she's channeling things. And it scared me, and I scared her. And I would get upset because I think like, what is happening? Why are you fucking with me? And she would say the same thing. Are you fucking with me? And we couldn't understand each other on that level, And so when I kind of came to this epiphany, I thought we were over. I thought it was all just done and dusted. There's just no working through this. And then I said, well, no, that's not possible, because it's just, I'm smarter than that. There's got to be something. I know that, that the love that I've seen her give me, it can't have been fake. Like in my head, I'm going, okay, she just did that because I'm, I don't know why. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then she's thinking the same thing about me. You know what I mean? Like, and so when I came to this epiphany, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm wanting her to be something that she's not. She knows that she can't be what I'm expecting. And now she thinks that she could never be that and doesn't want to even try because she's got the kind of feelings that I have, which is this is a long-term commitment thing. This is the real deal Holyfield. If we can get on the same alignment, if we can get there and understand each other on that level, because I can be extremely intimidating. I can be. And so can she. And there's that balance that has to happen that we're both working on, because the intensity of our relationship gets to that point where we put each other out of balance, and we can, so our time together can only last so long before the scales get tipped. She makes me want to just be the most sensitive teddy bear loving thing in the world, because I just want to be like that with her. And that to her, that scares the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Because too much of that will scare the shit out of her, because then it's too much for her to absorb. So because she is the yin and the yang, or the yin to my yang. So too much of what I want to do and expecting her to react the way I want her to react, it creates the opposite effect. So learning how to balance my emotions and not do the things that would trigger her, or at least understand what's triggering her, has been my mission, because I'm the kind that I'm
overthink it though, guys. Don't overthink it.
No, she definitely will overthink things. Me, on the other hand, I'm the one that wants to fix it. I'm like, I'm not letting this go. There's no way I'm letting this go. This is a connection I've never felt before. This is an intuitiveness. Like I said before, she called me up or texted me and told me what I was doing. She's at home. And, it ain't like she's sitting outside my window and typing this, going, I see you. And she's at home, and she texted me. I've sat down and we're in like a no contact situation at this point, like we're not even talking to each other. Not that much. You know what I mean? Like we're just kind of trying to figure this out, because it's really intense. And there's a lot of psychic type stuff that's going on. I wish I could get more into it, but I've just got to be able to show it to you. I don't know how, but there's a lot of that intuitive psychic type stuff going on. And so she texted me just the other day, and I'm going through my emotions and stuff like that, trying to figure out what it is that's going on. Why are my emotions so triggered like this when I don't let that happen? What is happening? Like there's something happening here that's beyond normal. And she texted me that, you're either drinking, you have your earring in, my earrings, and I have both. I had to use like 2 backings for this one because it's a big thing. It starts to hang down, so I needed to fill the gap on it. But so both of the earrings that I had were in, but on one. So she said, you have both your earrings in, and you're either drinking coffee or thinking about drinking coffee. And that was the text. And as soon as I sat down, that text was like 4 minutes old, and I had a fresh cup of coffee in my hand, and I was like, get the fuck out of here. And this is at night too. I don't normally drink coffee at night unless I'm going to be up for a while. And she didn't know that, like I think I had to work the next day. So normally I don't do that. I don't try to amp myself up to stay up late. When I got to work in the morning, I get up early, like 4 a.m. I'm up at my alarms. I got a dual alarm clock, one at 4 and one at 5. So the times that I do end up getting too late, I can hit that snooze or turn off the first alarm and get me another hour of sleep. I that's just the way I operate. I'm very analytical. I'm very structured. I'm very, that's how I do things. These are just, I need a pattern, in my life. I hate randomness.
Routine,
I hate that. I like routine. I'm a creature of routine,
Whereas I can't stand routine. Well, it's not, I like routines, but do you know what I can't abide? If I'm going on a night out and it's spontaneous, that's great.
Right.
But if there's been planning to it and putting makeup on and getting dressed and everyone's chatting, oh, we're going to do this, it's going to be great. It puts me on oh, fuck this is too fucking contrived. And it puts me in a mood, if you like, and it takes the funny out of me. Whereas if we just say, hey, let's go at the pub now, fuck it, and we go at the pub, we have a great time.
Right.
In the
But when you almost like psyching yourself up for something that might
Yes.
not be that great of a deal,
Yes, like New Year's Eve, you go out with all that open. Fuck me.
Yeah,
It's just another motherfucking night with a load
Right.
of drunks.
exactly. Like there's times you can psych yourself like tonight's gonna be awesome. A lot of guys do that when it's like guys' night or whatever, and they're gonna go out to the clubs or whatever. They get all they primp up, they do their thing, get their hair right,
Yeah.
and then they go out there and then they try to their best to
Yeah.
force the night to be great. And what ends up happening if they get turned down, get rejected too many times, they're having an off night, they call it or whatever. Then all of a sudden that could turn into a really fucking wild, crazy night for guys. Cause then they'll take all that aggression they had because they just want to go out and fuck.
Start saying to other men, what are you looking at and looking for a fight?
Right. And then, or they just want to take that they're aggravated because they got rejected or they didn't hook up that night or whatever. And they were they had a lot of like testosterone. They wanted to get out. Or they get into like fights or they get into trouble or they get too drunk and then they take that aggression out and do something stupid. So there's always those kind of nights. Or then there's the times where you hook up and that's it. You have a one night stand or you jump into a relationship, so you kickstart that. But I know what you're saying though. There's those for women though, on the other hand, you could be getting all dolled up and going, why am I doing this? I'm not even what am I expecting to get out of this tonight? You know what I mean? Like I want to look good. I want guys to look at me. But am I really in the mood to go out and go home with anybody? Unless it's a magical moment, then I don't think so. So why am I now I'm kind of mad that I'm getting dressed up when I really don't. I just want to go down normal and just go have fun. I know what you're saying.
Or even when I've been happy married, I've always, before I've gone out in public, I'm up 2 hours before, shower, do my hair religiously, to spot on. My makeup, and the best clothes I
always think of you.
I got around in a pair of pajamas, walking the fucking dog. Since cancer, I really don't give a fuck, and I just do what I want to do because I must have never really been doing that makeup for me. I must have been projecting something because now I go out there in a pair of pajamas and a pair of Crocs, and sometimes. I meant to go around the block, but I end up at the fucking shop like it. They must say, here's that crazy bitch with her fucking dog in her pajamas.
Right. Crazy old cat lady looking type thing. Yeah.
There she goes, feeding the birds in her fucking Crocs.
But you actually do when you get dressed up. That's why I always showed that Cannonball Run thing of the girl that hops out of the Lamborghini and spray paints the 55-mile-an-hour sign, because you always reminded me of that girl. I don't know why, but when your image came out and everything, because I know you tried to hide it for a long time, but then when it came out,
I was enjoying them calling me fucking ugly.
Right.
It was too much fun.
So yeah, and
why would I spoil the fun of all these dudes?
Right, and you knew you weren't ugly. You knew you had it going on. Like
I laugh when people call me ugly, and even now, at 60. I'm fucking doing banging. I bump into girls I was in school with, and I think, holy shit balls.
Right.
I'm doing all right.
I look at guys that I'll see them. They'll pop up on I don't know, Facebook or whatever, and all that. And I'll see them. And I'll be like, what the fuck happened to you, man? What? You let yourself go, man. Like I don't think I look my age. I think I look a lot younger than me. I'm
convinced there's a difference between stress is very bad for you inside, and
I don't stress much.
Cancers and all kinds, it kicks in, heart fucking problems. But I think if you have a very fast-paced life and you're always on the go and you don't have time to sit and fucking meander around in your own mind, I think that you age better.
Well, it's stress. That's the thing. Like with me, I just let things roll off. I don't like dealing with it. I don't like dealing with the conflict and the.
There's nothing a motherfucker here on YouTube can ever say to me that I ain't heard before. You're just repeating. I came from a family where there was 10 of us, and each higher up was allowed to beat up the ones below. So I was being beaten up by 6 other people and my mum and dad. Do you know what I mean? And you couldn't even hit the fuckers back because they'd all pile in on you.
Right.
You had to take it. And on my 17th, 18th birthday, when I went back home after a 3-year missing, my sister, who would always beat me up, she would jump on me while I was sat in a fucking chair holding a cup of tea, and she'd stick her nails in my face, Lynn, and pinch me and leave half moon marks in my skin.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
this day, we're there, sat there at my mother's. I'm not living there anymore, but I've gone visiting. She's there. So I'm sat in the chair. So her child comes over and knocks me on the leg. And I said, do me a favour, watch your kids. There's a hot cup of tea here. She said, what did you fucking say?
Right.
I said, you fucking hit me. What are you going to do? Because I've been away 3 years. So with that, listen, Lynn,
Yeah.
I stuck my foot out. She run into it. It winded the shit out of her. I leapt off the chair. I had her hair in my hand. I was near in her face saying, you're fucking mistaking me, you cunt, for something else. Listen, my mum and dad were scattering. I was banned for like 5 years for this stunt. But they all then understood from that moment on that now we're not in that house where there's a pecking order. You fuck with me and I'm going to fucking destroy you.
Right.
That's when I'm being attacked by a group of people calling me names and threatening me. I think, and what? Seriously?
What's your sign?
Aries, and I'm a dragon in the Chinese horoscope. Both of them are the head.
Oh, okay.
Aries is the head of the astrology. It's the top one, and as is a dragon. But I'm a wood dragon. A wood dragon is the kindest dragon. There's metal and fire.
Okay. See,
So
she's a Cancer, and I'm not sure.
Cancer is the crab, isn't it? It's Cancer.
The crab, yeah. The crab. Right.
What are you?
She's a water sign. So I'm an air sign. I'm a Libra.
Libra is about balance and fair and justice and all that shit.
Right. Very loyal, very. You know I am. I mean, just the way that I'm.
Yeah, but fuck with you.
I'm the only sign that is not an animal.
Yeah.
Okay. It's considered to be the Libras are considered to be the basically the superstars of the astrology signs because of what we are. And I'm a Libra Virgo cusp, which is September 23rd. So that gives me aspects of Virgo and aspects of Libra. So with that combination, it provides me in particular with a lot of abilities that people don't understand. And I didn't understand. I've understood things in the past. I've had episodes where I could literally make things happen, but not like floating things around. I'm talking about like I didn't know what was going on. And the first time it happened was like a day before 9/11. The first time I ever had an episode of this before, and I didn't know what was going on, but I was awoken in such a way that it felt like I was Neo, and I had taken the red pill, right? And I was like, I didn't know what was happening, but I could tell instantly if somebody was lying to me. I could tell like the sensations I was feeling, getting around people. I was driving. I was working as a dog trainer, and animal pet specialist is what I was doing, and it had to do with Invisible Fence, the company Invisible Fence, and so I've dealt with horses and rabbits and pigs and dogs and cats and all that stuff, and it's you train them for boundary, border control, boundaries, right, and inside and outside of the home. So this is something that I was learning, and I was getting more and more in tune with the animals, and that I'd never been before. And so this is why I still deal with animals. If I see them and they're injured or something like that, I'm just the kind that will stop and try and help. But when I got to learn the animals, I could almost sense and feel the animal, like what its emotions were. You know what I mean? Like what it was really, and it took me sometimes a little while, but I could, like, somehow or another, I could get in tune with them. And I was noticing this, that I'm like, wow, man, I can really understand this. Like maybe this is my calling. You know what I mean? Like I started thinking that maybe this is what I should be doing instead of working with my hands and on technical things or technology things. Maybe this is what I need to be doing, you know, because I felt a real connection with these animals and they seem to have a connection with me. So I started thinking I'm like Caesar Milan or something, you know what I mean? Like I can dog whisperer, you know, but right when that started happening, when I realized this sort of like connection that I was having with these animals is when 9/11 hit. And when 9/11 hit, I didn't care what was going on about 9/11. I was having my own fucking flip out where I literally started to believe that I was God, like literally, because
Do you think you were suffering a delusion, or do you think it was
it was a delusion, but
midlife?
it was a delusion. But I got to tell you something. The mental, I was fully aware of what was going on. Okay,
Yeah,
I knew that something was not right. I knew that something was not right. But it was so intriguing and it was so interesting what was happening to me that I didn't want to let it go.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep going with it and discover what power. Did I just unlock something in my brain? Did I just like lawnmower man this son of a bitch? Like, how did this happen? You know, like what snapped in my brain to where I could have this ability to like just cut right through someone and see what the fuck it was that they were up to. And I was like I could tell instantly, and they were fucking like it literally, I can't explain to you what all happened. Like all of the things that just weren't scientifically explainable. And then it eventually, it faded off, you know, like I kind of forced myself to fade off of it. And I eventually got back to normal. And then it stayed fine for a while. But then I would, out of nowhere, it would come again. And it was usually when I'd be really connected to somebody or I would get, I don't know. It was this planetary alignment thing or something where it was like I would be in the right spot at the right time, and then there would be this super intense thing that would come over me, and then it would have a different experience. But I knew what was happening, and the last time that it happened was by far the most intense experience that I've ever had, and it opened up something in me that I was able to.
That's what DMT and acid do. Once you take acid or magic mushrooms, your brain never thinks the same again. Some other portal or some fucking other section has been accessed. That
you're able to observe aspects of the universe you were never able to observe before. Well, and that didn't happen to me. I didn't take the psychedelics. I've done acid before years ago, but nothing like, I wasn't into it. I didn't like it that much. It didn't get me into like, I didn't get into that mode. I didn't take mushrooms. I never took mushrooms. But I did drop acid a couple times here and there. And it was just, you know, whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, there's trails and there's wavery shit. And I had felt that tickle in my stomach, you know, for hours and stuff.
Yeah,
and all that. And then, but I was uncomfortable with it because I wanted to maintain control.
It's wonderful.
Well, that's the thing is I never liked letting go of control in my brain. Like I wanted to experience it, but I wanted to stay steering the experience. You know what I mean?
I think there are some characters you should not give mind-altering drugs to. I think you've got to be pretty rounded to deal with the experience. I know people who took psychedelics, ended up in Surrey Hospital, and even to this day are stark raving fucking bonkers. You know, never did a day.
Because now they're gone. You know, like they're just gone.
Their minds weren't. Oh, you've got to be careful.
It makes you wonder sometimes. Like, can they be brought back? Can they be grounded again?
I think that what happens is when you take acid or mushrooms, you're going for the big trip. So you take like a few hundred so that you're totally mashed. You know, I sat there one night with my husband, and the whole night I was convinced he was Mr. T. He's white as the fucking driven snow. He looks nothing like him. But in my mind, he was Mr. T. And it was great. But I think when you do it to that level, you can't really get anything from it other than a good time and a good laugh. But if you microdose and take just enough, you can access parts of your brain that, you know, when you think it, you can work things out. You think in a different way.
Right. See that I like what Nick says here. Is the times that we get together, and this is where I capture this, because there's times when Skylar doesn't believe that she can stay that way. You know what I mean? Like she can get to where she doesn't believe she can stay that way. Because she'll get into these different modes, you know, where it's not the same anymore. And it just, and I've been realizing, I'm like, what is it that's doing that? Like that it sort of triggers her that way. And I start to realize it. I started realizing what it was. And there's stuff that I got to work on. There's stuff that she's got to work on, so that we can stay like that, or at least some medium measure of that. You see what I'm saying? Instead of going from one extreme to the other, and then the cutest fuck moments that we have together that happen somewhere in between, that sort of, you know, go like the ocean sometimes, where we don't know where it's going to happen at. We can go days in that mode, and then all of a sudden something will happen. And there's that work that has to be done, you know what I mean? So that we can figure that part out and move forward with it, because it's kind of causing like a stagnation in the relationship. So, because we're trying to figure that out. And, you know, this is, you know, in some cases people want,
some things don't need figuring out, and you're just meant to go with your intuition.
well, that's the thing. But when your intuition is clouded because of a hypersensitive
experiences and shit.
Well, that's normal people don't have the hypersensitivity to intuition, and like I do, and what she does. She has an even higher heightened sense of it than I do. However, I've got a lot more control of what I've gone through. I've got a little more years on her that an experience where I now have gone through some pretty extreme things, to where I can make sense of it now, because that's my mentality. Is I have to make it make sense. You know, that's the Libra mentality. Make it make sense, or I'm going to get mad, right? Because that's just the way it is. It has to make sense to me. And so other people just kind of give up on it, and they just roll with the flow, and just ride. But not me.
I am an analyzer. I have to understand when I see a nutcase. Other people may shy away from the nutcase, but I want to understand why you are a nutcase. Right. What happened that made you a nutcase?
And it's not just a morbid curiosity. Is there something I can do to help?
I'm just curious. I've always been curious about.
Well, yeah, and maybe it's because you want to investigate your own psychoticness, or you want to, you know, and see where it might come from. You know, like, so. Yeah, it is an interesting, you know, topic. You know, to look into the minds of people who are different, that think differently, that you know, do that. Me, on the other hand, like when I've gone through some pretty crazy moments in my life where I couldn't make sense of it, but yet it was so real. It wasn't a delusion in the sense that, like, I was misguiding or being misguided as to what was really happening. You see what I'm saying? Like I thought I had it figured out, but then I realized, well, shit, that didn't work, because, you know, I said, okay, well, the first time it happened, I thought somebody, you know, gave me angel dust or something in my weed. I'm like, that must have been what it was, you know, because I got super religious. I got, like, you know, and I'd never even read the Bible. And yet here I am starting to, you know, act like I'm a walking freaking Jesus or something, because I've got Jesus-like powers almost, it felt. Yeah. So I said, oh my God, you know, what is happening here? You know, like I could feel and sense things that were so intense and real. And I just this hypersensitivity. So I began to think that I was evolving or something. Like, you know what it was? I actually had this concept, is that what if the second coming of Jesus, it wasn't a birth, but more of a embodiment of an existing person. Like, in other words, it's just someone suddenly morphs into the Jesus character out of nowhere. Because, and the reason I was justifying that line of thought was that Jesus was just a carpenter until he was in his 30s. And then all of a sudden, boom, at the age of 33.
I think you're in dangerous territory if you think you're Jesus.
Right. But that's not exactly what the Bible was saying. That no, Jesus actually, even as a child, was amazing the rabbis. You know, the rabbis were coming to Jesus. So there's a gap in the knowledge of what happened with Jesus in the Bible that is apparently not really all that important. Or otherwise, they would have included it. But so, but even as a child, you know, his parents left him in Jerusalem. Okay, I don't remember if it was on accident or on purpose, but he was literally teaching the rabbis when they came back to get him as a child. And that's in the Bible, so there is some parts of his life that's in the Bible that are very telling. So it wasn't like he was just this random guy who was born of a virgin and just grew up normal.
They've proved that there was a man called Jesus.
Yes, Jesus is in every other religion except, and yet, like they mention him.
They proved that he was crucified. All of those things are verified. What isn't verified is if he fed 5,000 out of a couple of fish. The rest of it is verified, though.
The Bible is not meant to be a scientific document. Like it's not. It never was.
If you think about the burning bush and the feeding 5,000 from a few fish, that might have been an acid trip they was on, because that is
mushrooms, maybe. Because they're eating. When they talk about manna and camel dung.
I think that they were probably tripping.
They might have been eating these mushrooms.
Had a mass hallucination, man, and
that's why maybe they stayed out in the desert for 40 years, like Burning Man. They're out there just getting trippy as balls.
You imagine a burning bush is something that is very trippy, sounding experience. Fucking walking along and a bush catches on fire, you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
So I believe that they were probably tripping.
There are things, right, where there are natural occurrences. Okay. Now, what if, let's just say, for example, that there's an underground, like you have natural gas, okay, that comes, it's called natural gas, comes out of the fucking ground. Okay. And so you tap into it, you siphon it up, and then you have propane, you have natural gas. Okay. But what if there's a bush that is, this natural gas vein is like in a root, just taps a tiny hole into it. And somehow or another, because of dryness in the desert or whatever, and maybe a little spark from a rock that gets kicked, and it lights the bush on fire. And it's this little propane gas flame that's coming out. And the bush is actually not burning. It's the propane that's burning. That's coming out of the thing. What if something like that happened? Who's to say that didn't happen? But meanwhile, it was such a miraculous thing because they didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah.
That there are these natural, but at that time, that became a symbolic thing and they looked at that as an act of God, and it triggered them into an epiphany. It's all it took was that, and who's to say that wasn't God doing that and saying, hey, if you want to believe that it's a little gas pocket that a root grew into and had a little tiny gas vein that was going up, and a little rock came by when they kicked it with their sandal, and it hit another rock, hit a spark, lit the little gas flame. Now you got this little, like a flame that's happening out of the ground because it's natural gas escaping, and it's on fire now. So just like the wells in Iraq, when they set those on fire, man, it just burned and burned because that's so much oil spewing out and they couldn't stop it. What about natural gas? What if that would have happened? All right. What if that just one particular thing, but all it took was for them to look at that and go into a deep reflective, and try to figure this out. Like, how could this be happening? I'm witnessing this. And now this is an act of God. And now your belief in a supernatural is so strong. You can't believe your own eyes that you really, honest to God, believe in something that you never thought was possible. You now see something that you've never seen before that defies all explanation. Now, all of a sudden, you're willing to change your mindset. And you're willing to get some epiphanies from the universe that you would not have gotten otherwise. So that's what I'm talking about. I basically have seen a burning bush example in my life a few times. And it's changed my perception of how things are and how things work. And it's blown my mind. And I've thought about it and I've tried to make scientific sense of what's happened to me. Oh, I must have gotten dosed with something. That's what that was. That's all it was. But then it would happen when I had not done anything for months and months and months or years. You know what I mean? Nothing, no pot, no alcohol, no nothing that would trigger that. And yet it would happen again. And I'm like, what is happening? It's a chemical imbalance, maybe. I would try to take meds for it. Nope. Didn't work. Not like that. Or the meds that I took were so fucking bad. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So there's been times where, and stress is definitely a factor of when it will trigger that type of, thing for me, whatever kind of stress it is.
Yeah.
So whatever, it will trigger these events. Let me see something here. I'm just making sure that,
I've learned to not overthink. I used to ruminate a lot about things, and it's not good for you. So I went to a therapist, and I done a year of cognitive behavioral therapy, and it was the best thing I ever done. And I done it at the age of like 52. I wish I'd have done it in my fucking 30s.
What,
It's
just talking to a counselor?
No, learning cognitive behavioral therapy. What she did was, when I went there, she said I was going there because I had been diagnosed with cancer, and I was convinced I'd been treated. I was convinced I was going to die, and I just couldn't handle it. So off I go to her. So she says, right. So she gets her whiteboarder. She said, right, what do you think? So I said, that I'm going to die and it's going to come back. So she says at the top of the circle, she drew a circle, right? She wrote, scared is going to come back and I'm going to die. So she said, right. And how does that make you feel? So I said, it frightens the fucking life out of me. I can't sleep. It's stressing me. So then she writes. She puts the arrow down in the circle and writes that. So she says, now tell me what evidence there is that this cancer is going to come back and that you're going to die of it. So I said, well, none. So she said, exactly. She said, you have this feeling, and then you are turning it into this thing. There is no evidence it's going to come back. The statistics are the surgery we've done, the medications we've got you on, that statistically it's 95%. You're acting like this is a done and given. So that was she. And then because we got to know each other and got friendly, I'm a fixer. And when one of my kids, even to this day, if something happens to them, even, if it's out of my control, I fucking feel what they're feeling and I've got to mend it. And even sometimes they will abuse that kindness. So
Yeah.
she even taught me how to deal with that. It's all about your thoughts and then looking at how it makes you feel, which is not very nice. And
Right.
but then looking at what is the evidence of what my thoughts are they coming from my head, or is there scientific data? Because if there ain't scientific data, you're just pissing in the wind.
Well, that too, you could have been picking up, a little bit of psychic ability there, and you could have been getting transmissions, getting downloads from them, which made you that, because you could have a lot of intuitiveness in you. You could have an intuitive streak in you, which most people do when they have that ability to just, they know when it's time to just hand out some love. You know what I mean? To somebody that they need.
I can read a room. Like, and on my second visit, she said, Tracy, this is what I want you to do. Go home and write down before next week all the things that you're good at, what your best qualities are. So off I go home. And then the morning that I'm meant to go back, I think, oh, fucking hell, the list. So I write it down. So when we get there, she says, right, what did you write? So I said, I can fucking read a room. So I said, I can tell when there's going to be in the room.
Skylar can do that too.
Yeah, I said, I can know who's going to cause trouble. If there's trouble brewing, I know just before it kicks off. She said, that is as a result of your childhood trauma. You have had to learn to survive in the house where everybody could beat each other up. You had to learn fast to read the room. And now it's second nature to you. When you walk in the room without even thinking of it, you're reading that room. You're looking for the fucking trouble. Yeah.
Right. You're looking for the danger.
Yes.
Right. And so because you got to prepare for it. Right. Skylar does that. But it's
a very typical sign of heavy abuse. Right. And she said, what else did you write? I said,
I do that too. I do it too.
Are you ready for what my number 2 point was?
What?
I am fucking amazing at arguing and debating my point. And if I'm in the right, nothing will fucking shake me. I'm very good. I'm just good at it. And she said, and that's another one, because you had to absorb physical abuse, which you couldn't address. So you learned to be clever with your mouth. You learned to fight with your mouth.
Most women do. Most women cannot, especially if it's going against men. women tend to their only power against men, because physical power is usually not the option. They know that they can't beat the guy up. Most women can't. They know that, but they do know what will beat the guy up psychologically, emotionally.
Listen, I had an husband and he gave me a little strangling. I was being cheeky, of course, so he's not much of one. He just grabbed me one-handed by the throat and he gave me a squeeze and said, "Shut the fuck up." I ripped my t-shirt down the middle. I ripped my bra up over my tits, tweaked my nipples and said, "Oh, go on, big man, you're fucking turning me right on. You are. You're so macho." He was speechless.
Right.
It just blew him apart. He couldn't even speak.
But you dispelled that situation instantly. He was not expecting that. He
was not. He was expecting to say, "Oh, sorry, Tone, I won't do it again." And instead, I made him look ridiculous.
Right.
I dismissed him as fucking ridiculous.
And see, so like,
I just know how to press a button.
I've never been physical with a woman like that, like never. And I wouldn't even spank my daughter. Like literally, there's something that happened when she was about 2.5 years old that, because I know what it's like to be abused. I know what it's like to be punched in the face with a broken nose at 10 years old by people that were supposed to be protecting you. And stuff like that. I walked and ran away 20 miles at 10 years old. Okay. To get away from it, because of that. So I know what that physical violence is like. And I never wanted to do that to anyone. I never wanted anyone, not on my worst enemy, to suffer what I suffered through. And so, the persona that I give off, I've had people tell me, "Oh, he definitely, he'll beat you. He'll hit you," and I'm like, you have no fucking idea, like how anti that I am. Watching my mother when I'm too young to do anything about it, that what happened to her.
Well, it's always last resort. I'm not. If I got a rumble, I can still do it. If I just choose not to.
At 2.5 years old, okay, my daughter, we're walking through Macy's, we're trying to get out of the place, and she does one of these like dead arm, like dead.
Dead weight.
Doesn't want to pick her up. Yeah, those little kid things, right?
Yeah.
And I was so upset with her, and so for the first time, I picked her up, and I don't know what it was. I think I was me and the wife.
Maybe in a hurry or something. Yeah.
I was in a bad mood, and I kind of yanked her up a little bit, and I tried to smack her on the diaper, right?
Yeah.
But like two fingers got her inner thigh, like I think it's like these two fingers. Yeah. Pat her butt, but I kind of I wanted to get her attention, so I know it was a diaper, so it wasn't really hurt her, but my finger got her leg, and she stopped, and like instantly she just looked up at me, and the sense of violation that she felt, I knew instantly what she felt. And I stopped immediately. I picked her up and I grabbed her, and it brings tears to my eyes that I grabbed her, I gave her a hug, and I promised her right then and there, Daddy would never do that again. Never. So years later, okay, I didn't think she would remember that. Okay. Years later, something happened. She was acting like a brat. And I went to threaten her with that. I wasn't going to do it, but I was threatening her. And she turned around and she said, "You promised." Yeah. And I was just like, damn it, I knew it. I knew, because I knew what happened to me when that happened to me. I knew what I thought when that happened to me. And that was that same look of, how could you? You're not supposed to do that. You know what I mean? Like, that was that violation that was never supposed to happen. And so when I saw that look in her eye, I said, oh my God, this almost happened. I almost carried that. But
I know how to press people's buttons. I always have. If I feel the person is sad and that they're tragic and lonely, I won't use it. I'll just let them carry on. And I'll just say, "Oh, fuck off." Do you know what I mean? But if the person's full of themselves, I know exactly how to press buttons. And I can have them fucking raging. You can see it on here. I can do a half-hour live, and it can spawn off about 20 posts, 30 videos.
I know.
Multiple threats. I love it. I can't tell you how powerful it makes me feel.
Right. And see, that's your way of coping with that type of situation, because you've learned to do that, and it makes them, because
This is fucking child's play. This is fucking child's play. Are they fucking mad or what? I was living in fucking shop doorways, age 15, 6 months living on the streets. You
Right.
don't come out of that fucking.
I've lived on the streets too. All right.
Yeah, but I was doing it when I was a young girl, and I,
Right.
you know, and you got to have your wits about you, or you can end up raped or pimped out or some shit, or taking hardcore class A drugs, which, you know, I've party drugs because I want to have a good time, but I've never been jacking up heroin or smoking crack or anything. I
Right.
don't actually lose myself. I just want to have a bit of fun.
Right.
What now?
But yeah, I mean, and so when you're in that situation, right, where you're in that self-preservation mode,
yeah,
where, you know, the type of you know, let's say that what if
no trollop, there's no video. Sorry, Lynn, go on.
What if that situation, somebody did snatch you up, okay, and lock you down somewhere?
I look at the ways that I should be dead, and there are multiple.
Right.
I have hitchhiked in a lorry with a man I don't know, running away from a care home, trying to get back to where I lived or my hometown.
Right.
And I just think about the risks now when you read about these fucking, because there was no link to us. I literally was on the motorway.
Yeah.
Sticking
No one would have known where you were at.
No one. And I was actually.
You're so close to just disappearing.
No, here's the funniest part. I was one of 6 girls who ran away from a home in Pontypridd, which is up in the valleys. And we all got rounded up, obviously, and put in isolation, and which meant we were in a room with no fucking window, blankets you couldn't tear and do any harm. You just sat there like a fucking mug, and, you know, everything plastic. And it was quite awful. But one of them never came back, and her name was Karen Price. And 15 years ago, maybe more, they found her 20 years after she went missing, rolled up in a carpet dead. Now, they found the men who did it. We all ran away together. She was missing so long because the home assumed she'd gone back to her parents. Her parents assumed she'd still been in the home and had just gone off doing her, you know, because in them days, people weren't so monitored, if you like.
Yeah.
And nobody knew she was dead till her body was found. And I look back and I think, fuck, that could have been me, but I got on the bus to Barry Island.
Right.
You stayed, because what we would do is all make for the central bus station to get our buses to our homes. So we all left each other at that central station. I jumped on the Barry bus. Well, obviously, she didn't get on a bus. She went to someone's house and ended up murdered. I look back and I think, but I'm also very thankful. You know, as much as I curse my bad luck, I do sometimes just sit and think, you know what, I am lucky. I got a nice home. I've got nice things around me. I got food. I got money. My kids are healthy. Do you know what I mean? And I am very fucking grateful and humble for the fact that I'm still here and that life is pretty good. You know, there are people who'll sleep out tonight, Lynn. There are people who are still in them shop doorways.
Yeah.
There are people who are sticking needles in their arms right now. There are people who are being beaten up by their fucking loved ones.
I know someone right now who lives. I know someone right now that lives on the street. It's a female, and she got hooked up with some guy, and just recently, you know, she came in. She works, you know, and she came into the work where she's working, and he'd beaten her up, and I think she's still with him. I don't know for sure, but you know, and this is a woman who once actually, and I've talked with her, and she even said to me one time that I was the kind that would beat up somebody, like she was like afraid of me or something. And I'm like, you got a really bad judge of character. I can tell right now. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Because
some people are so damaged though that they haven't got a compass that actually senses what's going on. They just got a down on every cunt. There are people so damaged that
they don't recognize it. They don't recognize the signs, and the signs that draw them to those types of people are what they're comfortable with. Like it's like, oh, this time it'll be different, you know. Like, and meanwhile, this person, a lot of people, they can put on their masks, you know, and they can do that, and you're not going to know until they take the mask off. You know what I mean? If you're not that intuitive, and with the way that I look, the mean mug I can put on, yeah, you would probably think that. You know what I mean? That I would be that way, but in actuality, I'm the polar opposite of that. I would probably beat the fuck out of somebody if I saw them doing that in the parking lot. You know, if you know, like those scenarios where you see a guy smacks his girl in a parking lot, I'd be the one that dropped my groceries and run over and beat the shit out of him. That would be me. You know what I mean? Or at the very least, I would stop it and call the cops. You know what I mean? And be as a witness. So, you know, at the very least, you know, depending on how bad the situation would be, you know, but you know, that would be what I would do. But yeah, you try and convince somebody of that who doesn't know me, then yeah, I look like the fucking bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's a persona that I do maintain, because there's times where you get me pissed off, and just watch out. You know, I'll be that Will Smith that walk up on stage and smack the fuck out.
I used to be able to be triggered, and if
Will Smith is a Libra like me. Will Smith is a Libra like
now. You cannot trigger me. Nothing you can say will trigger me.
And like, but did you see what the reason? Like a lot of people gave Will Smith a lot of flack for sticking up for his wife, and when Chris Rock was making fun of his wife, and he walked up there, he didn't give a fuck if he ruined his career. Okay, and the amount of you know, you don't know the backstory to that, why he would do that. They say he was a pushover, that he was this and that. But in reality,
no, they've exposed him. No, I watched a really good video, Lynn, and they analysed that, and it's taken from a member of the audience who shot the same footage you see of Smith getting up and hitting Rock. And what happens is, and they slow it right down, he laughs initially, Jada shoots him a look. Right. And the look is, what the fuck are you laughing at? And then
when he saw that was upsetting to his wife, he said, "Oh shit!" Like he's trying to be. He's probably
like Tupac.
He didn't see. What I took out of that is, because that's probably how I would react to. Like, let's say me and Skylar were out somewhere, and somebody made a crack about her. Okay. And I just because I can take a laugh, I can take a jab at me or whatever. But if it really offended her, and she was kind of laughing along with it, you know, rolling with the punch, but I knew it really affected her, I would fucking do something. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't know exactly what's going on. What if they said something that I didn't know about that affected her, and they tapped on it, and she might have laughed at first, but then maybe she has this little look, and I'm like, and I know what that little tiny look is, and I would have been like, oh shit, that wasn't a joke to her, but she let it seem like it was a joke to her, but I know it wasn't. Jada did something different though. She was just like, what?
I think Will Smith.
So that was a pretty solid look at Will Smith.
Oh yeah, she was.
That she's not cool with that.
And then if you think
that point, Will's like, I'm on it, honey, and he walked up and did what he had to do, and I respect the fuck out of that.
If you think about her obsession with Tupac and how much she bigs Tupac up, it was almost like in that moment he was being the man who she idolizes, which Tupac would have jumped up on stage and punched him in the kisser. What if
Jada has that type of ability where she can essentially push her emotions into someone else, so that she has that ability with just a look? The anger and all that can be transferred like instantly, like boom, I am now Tupac, right? And I'm gonna act like Tupac right now, because that's who the fuck she respects, and that's who I need to be right now is Tupac. She's like, be my Tupac, be that man who goes up there and smacks the fuck out of that bitch for saying that shit.
Yeah, but
You know
it could equally have been that he knew that
People have an ability to transform or to push their
yeah, but it
emotions.
could also have been that he saw that look and thought, "Oh fuck, she's gonna go on and on and on and on all night."
No, I don't think that's what it was at all. That's not. No, as a Libra, let me tell you something. As a Libra, we tend to be on the empathic side, okay, which people misunderstand. When we're indecisive about something, a lot of people call us lazy. We're not lazy, okay, because we take our time making decisions, and when we make our decisions, most of the time they're final. All right, it takes a special level of empathy or empathic ability to realize that sometimes it's your baggage making that decision, not the real decision that needs to be made. So you can make an initial final decision, and I've learned to do this where I can come across as wish-washy because I'll make a final decision because I'm filling in the gaps of information that I don't have with what I'm considering to be intuition. But in actuality, it's not my intuition, it's my baggage. And so when I realize that it's my baggage filling in the missing pieces of the puzzle, I can now stop and go, wait a minute, that decision wasn't right. This decision is right. And so I have to put the brakes on, do a 180, come back and say, you know what, fuck that, I'm sorry. I made the wrong decision. That was fucked up. But at the time, I felt that was the correct decision. And most people won't do that. They will not stop and say, you know what, I was fucking wrong. I was fucking wrong. And I'm man enough to admit it.
Yeah.
Now I have pieces of the puzzle that weren't there before. So anyone would have made that same decision as I would, but would they have come back later and said, wait a second, now that I have all the pieces, this makes much more sense.
Yeah.
So now I can step back and say, hey, you know what? I need to take a big bite of humble pie because I let my own conceited pride and ego get in the way. And me and Skylar both have that. We have that pride and ego thing going on. We've had to be in survival situations. We both had to be there. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and so that pride and ego is a survival tool. It's a mechanism that we both rely on.
I highly recommend cognitive behavioral therapy. I wish to fuck I'd done it years and years before. Is the best thing, because understanding yourself and managing how you respond and behave to things. I am now so laid back. I used to be hyper. I used to be always hyper vigilant. You know, now, if someone gives me a dirty look, I look at them and I think, fuck off, you fat idiot. And I don't even say anything. Before, I would have shredded them. And now I just look at them and think, are you fucking deranged or what? Very seldom do I, oh, look at you. Mm-hmm. So, Lynn, I've got to love you and leave you. I've got shit to do. I'm going to be live streaming in a little bit.
All right.
I've been with you over an hour and it's been a pleasure.
Oh, shit. Yeah, it has. Son of a bitch. Oh, yeah. It's been an hour. Yeah, it's been great catching up. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I'm going to be wanting to talk about, like just these psychology things and how people react to it. And we can pick apart the psychology of like James D. You know, we can get into that part instead of trying to back down on it. It's actually
intriguing to learn about trauma bonds and how and why people do these things. You know, never mind just seeing them do it. Try and understand the fucking mechanism behind it.
Exactly. So, you know, so now it's a matter of, instead of trolling, let's break this down and help somebody, man. Like, and in a way that they can understand that we're not trying to hurt nobody. We're trying to figure this out so that it doesn't keep going. So they don't keep doing the same cycle over and over again. Because all you see is the same cycle over and over again. No one's learning anything. You know, all they're doing is making mistakes and doing it again and again and again.
Some people will learn when the time is right. Some people will never learn, sadly, Lynn.
Right.
They're the ones that they lay on their deathbed, usually with no one around them, fucking wondering what the fuck happened and where is life gone.
And you know what, though? What everyone keeps saying is that they're projecting. And that's exactly right. They are projecting. They're projecting what is wrong inside of them onto other people. Yeah. So 9 times out of 10, when you're pointing out the you know, you ever heard that saying, you know, whenever you point one finger at somebody, you got 3 more pointing back at yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that's what you're really doing. because you want to point
So
out.
tell me this, Lynn.
What?
We've just hit the psychology of deeply injured people and fucking tragic basket cases. Now, what do you
Hurt people, right? That's how that works, you know.
Damaged people? What do you now on the subject of trolls? And I'm talking specifically the kind of trolls who actually make their videos and their actions and their days about trying to hurt someone, making fun of someone.
They're the most damaged. They're
And
the
what
most
do you think the damage is there? What do you think the
whatever it is that they're going on off of is what their damage is. So whatever they're pinpointing is what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
In a sense. Now, so at that point, that's when you can start picking apart their side, what they are saying about somebody else, what they are seeing, what they are saying, how they perceive something. Do they embellish on it? Do they see things that are not there, that they're filling in blanks? And when they start filling in blanks, that's when
their own mind. You're getting a sense of who they are.
Yes. So when Boohoo effect and stuff starts doing that shit and starts filling in the blank and starts acting like he's a fucking psychologist, he's telling on himself so fucking hard.
Yes.
And I sit back and I don't even interact with the guy because I can see what the fuck's wrong with him. And I know that if you interact with this guy, he's just going to go off on a fucking tangent because he's really fucking damaged himself. And he's going to tell you everything that's wrong with him by saying that's what's wrong with you.
Yes, of course. Well, of course, because when we assume about others, we take from our own brain what we imagine based on our psyche and our experiences. So because you cannot think from someone else's brain, you can only think from your own. So when you get people who come up with outrageous lies like accusing a man of being a rapist, that is very telling about that person's mental makeup.
Right. Yeah. And so when that happens, okay, when you're looking at someone, that is their baggage filling in the gaps of information that they don't have. And so now they're damn sure that's what it is. But in actuality, that's probably what they are really thinking.
Well, that's what the art of war is telling you. It tells you, look at the way your enemy seeks to control you, and you will know his deepest fear. Right. Because he assumes your fear
is the same as his.
On his own fear, because that's all he can base it on.
Right. So you protect the information so that it doesn't fall into the hands of an enemy. Yes. But what if you're, and then there's the other part of that, the other part of the art of war is putting information in the hands of your enemy so that you can watch how they react to it. And then that tells you, even though let's say it's false information about you, what they do with it will betray their fears. Yes. So now they have they have fears that they believe that are your fears and they're not, but they're revealing their real.
You can also let somebody burn out. If you look at I can't remember which.
Well, that's kind of a, that's.
Yeah, but
that's
I can't remember which fight it was, but Muhammad Ali, he spent most of the time on the ropes absorbing some terrible fucking punishment. And then when the poor fucker was knackered, he battered him. It was fucking tragic.
I do that a lot. It's the same technique I'll use.
I think it was called rope-a-dope. I think it was called rope-a-dope, wasn't it? He just laid back and just absorbed.
Yeah.
That beating.
You just sort of, well, you take it in ways that you can handle it until they wear themselves out. And then you can, when you come in, it's like.
Yes, Ali versus Foreman. That's right. That's exactly who it was, rope-a-dope. And then he come up off those ropes and fucking thrashed him.
Right. Because now it's a fair fight. At that point, now he's
but he was out punched, he was knackered.
Right.
He could hardly keep his hands out. And Muhammad Ali was dancing around like a fucking butterfly, as you would say. He was,
and that's the same thing that can go on with verbal arguments too.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I'll let someone insult the fuck out of me for months on end and burn themselves out to the point where they've got nothing new to say. They're just repeating themselves. And then I can just come out and give them one left hook in the eye and I've got them reeling. And then I go off and have a cup of coffee and snigger all night.
What's funny to me is that Skylar has pointed out things that I do when we get into like an argument or something, because her coping mechanism for things when I trigger her is to cancers are like that. If you try to force them to do something, they're going to retreat. They're like little turtles. They'll go in their shell and they're not coming out until they feel safe. So that's what a cancer does, right? They you can't force them to do things. They won't. And
You've been having a good
there's
time.
times when they want to be in that way, like, and then, but then when you try to force it, no, you know what I mean? You can't. And the more traumatized that people can be, the more they're going to exhibit those character flaws, I guess you call it.
Yeah.
So at that point, there's the same sort of, how can I say this? The same sort of effect happens. Let me find an example, but I'll get back to that. But
Yeah.
the point of the where she'll let me wear myself out, and she won't say a word, and I'll be like, I'm trying to say what I'm trying to put all the pieces together in my head and see if I get a reaction to prove myself right, because I'm so scared of getting hurt because I care so much about her.
Pressing all these different buttons.
I'm trying to find out what it is that's triggering me, and all it is I'm triggering her. And I'm, by doing that, it's triggering both of us, and it's this cycle that we'll go in. And until I figured out that that's what was going on, I was like, shit, I've got to sit her down and talk to her about this, because we're doing this to each other every time now, because our emotions are growing so strong that it's to the point where, like, I like when I'm with her and we're in good spirits and we're having a great time, I don't want that to end. I want more. I want more. I want more of it. And at that point, I trigger her, and I start doing things that will trigger her in ways that I don't realize I'm doing it, and it don't make sense to me. I'm thinking you should be reacting this way, and I want to force that reaction out of her, and that's the worst thing I could do, because then because
it's meant to just flow like a river.
It is. But see, my baggage is she gives me the kind of love that I've been searching for my whole life. And she doesn't realize that. She doesn't realize that that's the kind of love I've been looking for, and how valuable it is to me. So I'm desperate for it. I'm like, oh my God, that is what I've been looking for. I can't get enough of it. And I want more. And at some point, sometimes she's not capable of giving me anymore. Like, she's just, this is as far as I can go with that. I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to it either. I want more. She wants more of what I'm doing or whatever. But then all of a sudden we get to that. You ever had like, it's like a puppy that's so cute you just want to strangle the motherfucker. It's like,
kids like it too. They make you want to bite your tongue and scream.
Yeah, you just your fucking heads off. They're so cute. And it's like you get to that point where you just want to hurt them, and it's like, why? What the fuck is that? Like, what? But obviously you're not gonna. It's just that. But emotionally though, when you're at that point where it's like that emotional thing, all of a sudden now you do want to hurt, the other person, because they're not doing what you want them to do, and it's like, because it's the intensity of the love. It's the intensity of it, and that can be really uncomfortable if you've never experienced that deep of a love before, or you can embody other or begin to see that, hey, that's what happened to this other relationship I was in. I'm getting the fuck out of here, because now they're getting forceful when I don't give them what they want. Now next thing comes the hitting, or next thing comes the this or that. You know what I mean? So now they're getting the fuck out of there before that happens, because they recognize that. But that, in my case, that's not what's happening. I would never take it to that level, but try and convince somebody who's been in that level before. They're not going to believe it. So there's an intensity that I have, that because I am very intense, and I take everything to extremes, and that's part of my baggage. You know what I mean? Like, because that I need.
And this is where the cognitive behavioral therapy comes in. It's the best thing I ever did. I seriously cannot rate it enough. I was told for years, even in my 40s, go and have some cognitive behavioral therapy, and I wouldn't. I used to say, fuck that, I'm not sitting around airing my dirty laundry to some fucking oddball. But it was proper. I'm glad I did it.
Hey, if Nick is right here, it's this comment here, it's the sickly sweet ones you have to watch usually.
Defo.
I can get sickly sweet. All
No,
right.
I think that she's on about the ones that the love bombers, you know, the ones that are telling you they love you and they've only just fucking met you. This is not
Right.
how love works.
Right.
You can be strongly
See, and
attracted, you can be physically attracted, but you cannot feel a deep, profound love within fucking an hour.
Some people, believe it or not, like some people, okay, there are where they get confused themselves, and they can feel a love there, or maybe that's what they consider to be love, right? That's how they've only ever experienced love, is that maybe it's just that passion, you know, and that's as far as love ever has gotten with them, is that was their verification that they're being loved.
But there are some people who can.
But that dies down. That happens.
Yes, when it gets comfortable, they feel something is wrong and they got to go and chase that electrifying moment again.
Right, somewhere else, because
Yes.
it's not there anymore, so they don't feel like there's love there
Everything has
anymore.
to get comfortable, or we'd all have heart attacks. We wouldn't live to fucking 30.
Right.
If we was on
So-
that level of passion.
Because that part of it always is something that's the spark. Okay. And if you think that love is all about the spark and that's it, it's just maybe a chemical reaction in your brain. Yes, there is a chemical reaction happening there. Okay. But when you develop that into something more, then that's what's forever. That's what stays. And if you nurture it, you keep it going, and you know how to. And all of that is essentially learning each other.
Is that you get replaced by something where in replace of that dizzying where you kiss and your heart flips and you can't eat and you can't sleep and you can't stop thinking about them, is replaced by a deep trust, companionship, understanding,
Right.
more long-term realistic fucking life things.
Right.
It's not realistic.
Things that you can trust. But if you've never experienced that,
Yeah, of course.
then you're never going to recognize it until it's probably too late, you know? So, or you just, push it aside and you never go back to it, and you just never recognize it. So, and I think that's what's happened, maybe with Skylar. I don't know, but we're going to talk about it and figure this out. Because there's way too much. Like, I recognize what's going on with her, and she doesn't want me to figure her out, because that's her defense mechanism. Because I think she thinks that if I figure her out, then I'm going to use it against her, and she's too, I think, afraid of that. You know what I mean? Like, she knows that I'm going to figure her out, and so she purposely will stay mysterious because, number one, it works. It draws me in. But number two, it's a defense mechanism. So even when she's just trying to play coy and trying to draw me in because she wants to be chased a little bit, she wants that fun, that excitement.
Yeah, you do. No, you don't.
Yeah, like no means yes and yes means no. And they play the little. It's an immature emotional way to be.
But even the best kiss, where you kind of play fighting and laughing and tickling, and all of a sudden your eyes meet and it turns into that kiss. Those are the best kisses of all. Nothing can beat that fucking kiss.
And so, these are just these moments that we've had and all that. But I think that because both of us have gone through some pretty traumatic events and love and emotion in life, that we have been triggering each other. And I saw a thing and I posted it and I took it down because I didn't want to. I don't know. It was about how the signs, there were like 5 signs that God has put the right person for you in your life. And that was part of it, is that you will trigger each other, and you will do it simultaneously. Like, and that is so that you can both get over that baggage, that emotional baggage, and learn to love the right way. And so you will overcome those things and know for a fact in your heart that this is true. Yeah. And you won't, and eventually you will not have any question. You will, and if there is, you will know intuitively. You will know intuitively what the other person needs or wants, And these are the relationships that last 50, 60 years, whatever, until they die together.
And they sit in the room and they don't have to speak, and they know what the other's thinking, and they both got the
And
same.
it's not boring.
No,
It's-
of course.
It's
It's
to everybody else in the world, they would consider that the most boring thing ever.
It's
But in reality,
comfortable.
they are so much in love that they are so content.
It's real.
It is absolutely real, and that's when these couples, they die together. They literally they die together, like within a day of each other, like, because it's that connection is so strong. So it's like, wow, like you hear about this and you wonder how they did it and everything. In reality, that's what was happening. They learned each other so well, and they reciprocated so correctly. They got over all of their baggage. They got over all of their anything that might have happened, and they realized what the truth of the matter really is.
Yeah.
And that isn't that like the most romantic and beautiful relationship you could possibly imagine.
Of course. And
Who's teaching anybody how to do that anymore? Nobody.
Yeah, but when you're dying, you're not going to want somebody who was a great fuck and gave you a super hard on holding your hand. You're going to want that person who's been with you through thick and thin, knows you like they know themselves, understands you, knows what you want to hear.
Right.
That's more realistic than fiery fucking nonsense. That's why it's so short-lived. We'd all be dead before we were 30 if we lived that passionately and it never wore out. Fucking hell, we'd have heart attacks.
Yeah. But I mean, and that's what worries me about this Viagra and Hims things and stuff like that. Like, I don't have any issues whatsoever about that, but I see the commercials and everything, and I'm going, is that safe? I mean, come on, man. If you've got a 5-hour erection or whatever,
Yeah.
how many times are you gonna be able to? What are you gonna do with that? Like,
Listen, there's an advert on the TV right now, and it disgusts me, and it makes me curious too. It's for Viagra,
right.
and it tells you that you can have a great 23 hours. I can think of nothing worse than someone mooring and pouring at me for 23 hours. I smoke. I like
Right.
drinking coffee. Let's get
Right.
fucking real.
Yeah, it's like at that point,
23 minutes would be too much. Never mind 23 fucking hours.
at that point, this is for like people who have a like a sex addiction, but their body can't keep up with their addiction anymore.
Yeah.
And now that's almost like what they're trying to do is get men to have a sex addiction. You know what I mean? Because now you get a boner and you can't get rid of it. The only solution that you've ever known to get rid of a boner is to take care of it, man. And then, but if it won't happen, then the only thing you know then is to take care of it again. Until it's done. But so
I think that's a recipe for divorce right there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you're training yourself to do bad things, man. They're not good.
No,
I mean, but because if either one of you wants sex that much for that long, somebody's going to have a problem when you don't.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone's
once that nicotine starts wearing off,
right, and the other one's still going. Where are they going to get it from if you ain't giving it to them? You see what I'm saying? Then you got problems because now now you're not talking about love anymore. You're talking about straight carnal, primal shit that can get you in trouble. And because then all of a sudden you're doing things from a primal aspect instead of a fucking civilized aspect.
That's going to be the name of my live stream. Right. Carnal primal shit.
Yeah. Carnal versus primal, But yeah, this is the kind of conversations that help people.
I love these conversations. I've had these conversations that
I was talking to James,
acid especially, that go on for like 9 hours.
Yeah. I was talking to Aaron about James D or somebody because he went on his channel and James D just started calling Aaron all these names and everything because he'll just attack people for no reason and he starts blurting out all this bullshit and you're just sitting there going, what the fuck, man? Like
he's short man syndrome. You fuel him up with beer and the little man in him comes out and he wants to fight the world. If a bell rung, he'd come out.
If you pay attention to it, if you really pay attention to it, the times that he gets in there, okay, you got to think about what's happening here. Now, I've watched James D go from living in Doug McGuire's Volkswagen Rabbit.
That was the funniest time ever.
to having a house or renting a house, leasing a house for like 5-year lease, whatever that was, and then doing well in construction, doing showing his skills on things, which he does have skills. And him and Monograph talk about it because they both were in the same sort of field.
He is a great worker and he was a lovely father.
Right. Well, James D. I've seen how James D. treated people and the woman's kids or whatever when he was drunk. He would get out there and he'd get drunk.
Yeah, of course.
And so he's got some baggage there that he's carrying around. And when he tries to have fun, he ends up doing it in a destructive way.
I think he was probably the runt of the litter. And when he gets a drink, he behaves like he has been treated.
Right.
I mean, what you're
he's retaliating against some people. Things that have happened to him, he wants to retaliate against people.
So he's proving I'm not the runt. I'll fucking punch your lights out. I'll fight you all. Sometimes he's offering to fight me. Now, look, fact of it is if we went toe to toe, I'd jab him in the throat box and he'd be shutting the fuck up because it would be unexpected because you don't expect that from a woman to chop you in your throat.
Right.
Whereas he actually imagines that if he makes these threats and things, that people are going to fear him. He tries too hard. People who are really got it don't feel the need to go fucking exposing it and showing it off and picking on people.
Right. Right.
He
does it as a way to let out his anger. And
definitely. He was probably had a bigger brother who used to give him Chinese burns and make him go running for things. And this is him when he says, I'll fight you all. And here's another big clue, Lynn. When you're arguing with someone and they say, I'm not afraid of you. Hang on, I never tried to make you afraid. I never asked you to be afraid.
It's very telling that they are afraid.
Yes, because otherwise you wouldn't say it. You don't say, I'm not hungry, but you do say, I am hungry.
Right.
You don't ever, the fact that you just told me that tells me you are fucking scared of me, you fucking banana.
Right. So, like I said, there's a psychology there that needs to be addressed because it gets to that point where
you become so readable.
It's not even a fight anymore because now it's gotten so deep into psychology that you're like, okay, you're not even saying sensical things. Like you're not even mad about anything in particular.
Just being ridiculous.
You're just letting out your fucking baggage, dude. Is all you're doing. You're dumping on people.
Yeah.
And you're
feeling. I'm big on the psychology of what people say, and I automatically understand it. I don't know whether there was a period where I was learning it, but it's just natural. And second, I can walk in a room and I can fucking know who's the aggressive one in there within before they even know they're going to be aggressive.
Yeah.
I can feel the vibes off people.
James is trying to get on
that's something you can't buy. You can't buy that intuition. You can't buy that gut instinct. You either got it or you ain't.
Yeah, there and see this is where that kind of intuition. A lot of people already have that, and some of the things that I really want to dive into is how Skylar can like radio dial tune in people that are not even around her. This is where the hypersensitivity expands much further out than what you can see within your own. Like in other words, you're at a bar or whatever, and you walk into a room, like you said, and you can scope out the room and tell who's going to be the problem maker. I'm quite the opposite. I do that as well, but I also look for who's the most vulnerable in that room, and I instinctively want to go and help. Or go and comfort. Like that's my intuition.
I'm a magnet for the downtrodden and the fucking sad souls. I'll sit on a bus.
There's another reason why I wear black. Johnny Cash did the same thing. He wore black because he sympathized with the poor and the downtrodden. Because I've been there, and I mean I'm still there. I'll sit
on a bus and I'll listen to someone for a fucking hour, telling me their life story. And I'll make all the right noises. I go on a night out and I'll end up sat outside talking to a homeless person, finding out what's happening and how did you come to be here and where you going to be tomorrow? How do you
Well,
manage?
I did that too for a while. I actually, part of my sentence was, or plea bargain actually, was I had to spend a year at in a men's program. And because my charge was violent, they wouldn't take me at any of the state run men's programs, right? So there was this other men's program that was a year long. It wasn't state run, but it was a Christian based one. And because the state run ones have nothing to do with religion, they keep that out of it, separation of church and state, right? So, but this one was, and since I didn't qualify for those two, there was a couple of them I was trying to get into, but when I did the interview to get into these as like part of I had to first get in for it to even be an option that they could give me so I could get out, you know what I mean? And do my probation. So when I got to court, my public defender just looked at me and said, I don't know what to do. And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I said, Judge, can I go over here and do that? He goes, is it a year long? I said, yeah. And he goes, are you under supervision? I said, yeah. He goes, are you allowed to leave or anything? I said, no. And they're like, yeah, all right, fine, done. And so I went and I did it, right? And I graduated that. It was a graduation, all right? Not like, and it happened to be it was a homeless shelter / men's program. Half of the building was for homeless shelter and the other half was for the men's program, which is, it's basically, if you wanted to go ahead and say, all right, teach me how to start over, teach me how to be a man, because I failed at life and all that other shit, right? The other programs the state had were more like a work release type thing where you're still in jail, but you get to go out and work and make money. But most of your money is going back to the state. You got to pay them for them holding you. And it's you don't make hardly shit. All right. But you're out there working your ass off, trying to have a career, and you're monitored and all this other stuff. I didn't want all that, but I was willing to take it, just get the fuck out of, because where they had me at anyway. So when I went to this program, I didn't expect to, first of all, I didn't even think any of this shit would stick at all because it was a bullshit charge. All right. That never fucking happened. But anyways, but it did stick, and they wanted to throw the fucking book at me for out of nowhere, and I couldn't get out of it. I didn't have the money to hire a lawyer to fucking get me out of this stupid shit. So I'm like, this is ridiculous that I'm having to go through this. So I'm like, all right, fine. I was going to go there anyways because I had no other place to go and just do my day labor stuff until I got back on my feet, and all that, right? Because I left out of there with nothing, right? And so I said, okay, I did this program, and I discovered something. It was like I was going to do it anyway, but then I was kind of forced to do it. So I said, well, that's not really forcing me if I was going to do it anyway, so I didn't mind it. You know what I mean? So I went through this program. It was a lot of church, an hour in the morning, hour at night, 3 hours on Sunday, curfews, all this other stuff, right? It was 4 levels of the program you had to go through. Every 3 months you went through another level, and which allowed you more freedoms. So this was what the journey that I went on. It was a spiritual journey. Yeah. I got a chance to talk with people that had degrees in theology. It was a hang on one second. I can't talk to you right now. It was give me 1 second. Let me take this call.
Yeah, carry on, Lynn.
Yeah, just keep the chat going. If not,
yeah, whatever. Yeah, get on, you love bitch. You go on.
No, it's not her. It's a friend.
Right. Well, I'm meant to be live on my channel. I've been over here now an hour and a half. So I think that I'm gonna kick out. If someone in chat can say that I've had to cut them loose, I can't get on chat here. I'm trying to. So if someone can say that I had to cut and run, and I will catch him the next time. I'm out of here. Lynn will be back shortly. See you in a little while. I'm out. Right.
All right, I'm back. Ah, damn it. Mister. Let's see here. What's it say here? Should be doing a live stream soon. Okay. So yeah. Damn, I was gonna tell her. Was that you got a barn burner coming later? All right. We'll see what that one's all about. But I was going to tell her about the milk idea from Skylar, but anyways, and that's who they're talking about when they're saying that. Not me and Tracy, me and Skylar. All right. So in case Skylar sees that, they're not talking about me and Tracy. They're talking about me and you. Anyway, but yeah. The milk idea, I think that the mother's intuitive life knowledge, because she is a mother and she can she can have a lot of intuitive life knowledge, that she could share. I like to see that come to fruition. But anyways, the guys, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna go cook me something to eat. get my grub on. But anyways, yeah. So, man, that thing's, see, now the mic is in a weird way. It kind of needs to be back further now. There we go. Go like that. When I was born. So, all right, guys. I will holla at y'all later. And peace.